The Whiskey Throttle Show, now available on the Spot Network, an independent standalone streaming platform live now on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, Google Play, Android TV, most smart TVs, and all phones and tablets. Look for future live shows and specials only available on Spot Network. Download the app today on your favorite device. Coming to you from Pros Circuit in Corona, California, it's the Whiskey Throttle Show. Brought to you by Yamaha, the leaders in the power sports industry. Motocross bikes, street bikes, adventure bikes, generators, side-by-sides, quads, boats. Yamaha sets the standard. Yamaha revs your heart. Today's guest is presented by Therabody. Therabody creates effective, natural solutions to take charge of your daily wellness. By combining education, innovation, and over a decade of pioneering technology, Therabody makes wellness more accessible for everybody. Today's show brought to you in part by Method Race Wheels, the strongest, lightest, fastest wheels in off-road. Method dominates the off-road racing market, and they have wheels for your truck, spreader, SUV, Jeep, or van. Troy Lee Designs, built for the world's fastest racers. Troy Lee Designs blends elite level protection with a history of industry-leading style and performance. From motocross gear to custom paint to bicycle protection, Troy Lee Designs is waiting for you on the next level. Dunlop. There is a reason every AMA championship in the past decade was won on Dunlop tires. They are the best. Choose the best performing tire and brand that has never wavered in their support of our sport. Choose Dunlop. Pro Circuit. Pro Circuit products are designed with one goal in mind: winning. Through passion and hard work, Pro Circuit has operated the most successful 250 team in the history of the sport. They use that same formula when developing exhaust, engine, and suspension parts for every brand, when only the highest level of performance is acceptable. Trust Pro Circuit.
Since 2009, Seat Concepts has been dedicated to making the best aftermarket seats. More comfort, more grip, more riding. For 10 years, we've continued to raise the bar. Innovation and American craftsmanship make Seat Concepts the world-leading manufacturer of power sports seats.
Something from nothing. That's what Nihilo Concepts is about. It starts with a spark, an idea, a concept, which leads to a design, and finishes with engineered excellence with the highest quality products created with durability in mind. All our products are made in the USA at our state-of-the-art facility in Stuart, Florida. Whether you are a weekend warrior, ride for fun, or at the highest level of competition, Nihilo Concepts offers innovative titanium, aluminum, and carbon fiber parts for your dirt bike. We offer a wide variety of products that you can customize to your liking. Browse our site for foot pegs, brake tips, engine components, specialty tools, frame grip tape, lever grips, carbon fiber components, motor stands, our secondary on-switch, plus much more. Head to NihiloConcepts.com and see for yourself why factory teams like Red Bull KTM, Rockstar Husqvarna, Troy Lee Designs Gas, Orange Brigade, Club MX, KLM Gas, and some of the fastest riders in the world choose Nihilo Concepts.
Specialized Bicycles. Specialized leads the way in the world of bicycling. Whether it's cross-country racing, downhill, e-bikes, enduro, road, gravel, dual slalom, dirt jumping, or all mountain bikes that do it all, Specialized has the perfect ride for you. The brand is synonymous with engineering excellence and innovation that steers the industry. Visit your local Specialized dealer for a test ride and see just how good Specialized products are.
Try to keep on keeping on.
Ogio Power Sports. OGIO has perfected the carrying case, motocross gear bags, helmet bags, boot bags, hydration packs, backpacks, and travel bags, to name a few, have all been meticulously engineered to maximize space and surpass durability standards that would make NASA proud. Simply the best. OGIO Power Sports.
Connected. Mesh intercom on.
It's cool to be able to hear what they talk about and how fast they go, throttle control, braking. Really cool.
Extend your leg out. There you go. Good job. Good throttle control, Lonnie. That's a great training tool. It was a lot of fun to be on the track with them. Hey, Lano.
What?
Can you pull off over here when you get to me and your brother?
Okay.
With a rich history in motocross, ProX has been dedicated to supplying quality components since 1975. Whether you're rebuilding an engine or just need a new chain, ProX Racing Parts aims to bridge the gap between OE quality and affordability. ProX has over 9,000 part numbers and over 60 different product types that are manufactured by highly reputable or even OEM suppliers and are offered at affordable prices to help keep riders on the bike instead of in the garage. Visit ProX.com to search parts for your bike or check them out at your favorite online or local dealer.
Audio Jungle.
The guys are just breaking in their race bikes, which will leave on the semi this Saturday to go to the first Supercross for our coast in Orlando. So the guys are just be goofing off a little bit, do some cool photos, do some cool videos. When you go racing, you want to do well, but a big key is keeping the bikes on the track. That's why we chose to work with Motul.
Expectations coming in as a rookie is just to try and get my feet wet and honestly just send it, see where I end up and do my best out there, but just ride aggressive and ride like myself in practice and I should have a good time.
Challenges of this sport, I believe, is just simply staying healthy. With how fast we're going and what we're doing, your margin for mistake is really, really small.
If you have little rippers, you have had to have seen Stay Sick bikes by now. We have created bikes and experiences that allow kids to develop sooner and empower them to define their own ride. From learning to ride to sharpening skills, the Stay Sick promise is accelerated growth. Whatever path your family chooses, it's going to be the ride of your life. Stay Sick Stability Cycles. This week's guest, Ernesto Fonseca, is an unlikely champion. The friendly rider grew up in Costa Rica, a country that has never turned out a supercross champion. Lobito changed all that and has 2 light supercross titles to his credit, along with a bunch of podiums in the premier class. After a life-changing spinal cord injury, Ernie is back to living life. And now, here's the host of the Whiskey Throttle Show, David Pingree.
It is November 2021. Thank you for joining us here at the Whiskey Throttle Show. I'm your host, David Pingree, and we've got a special guest today. I've been texting back and forth with Ernie for a while, trying to figure out a time that would work for him, and we finally got him on. 2-time Supercross champ, hell of a nice guy, Ernesto Fonseca. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure being here and sharing my story with you guys, and yeah, let's get right to it and see what we can come up with.
Well, you know, like there's so many things about your story that I love, man. Just like the fact that you came from Costa Rica and the picture you sent me, and it had to be one of your first rides or bikes or whatever, and you're in like this, you're on a Honda with Kawasaki gear and these red rubber rain boots, man. It's in an open face helmet. I'm like, yes, look at that. That's like a starter kit, you know?
Yeah, that was it was my first year racing. I don't remember. I don't think that was my first race, but it was
pretty early on.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it was the second or third race for sure of my first ever season.
Yeah. How did those rubber galoshes work compared to like Alpine Stars?
Yeah, a little different for sure. You had rubber footbacks back in the day too.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
That must be like slippery, you know, on both sides, the boots and the foot pegs.
That's so great, man. That photo is one of my favorite. Well, let's start off with our Method Race Wheels front end chatter. As folks, fans of the show, are going to be familiar with this. Method building the lightest, strongest, fastest wheels for your truck, van, sprinter, SUV, or UTV. If you are in the off-road racing world, don't compromise. This is the best wheel. They've got all kinds of technologies to keep beads from popping off, and they aren't going to fail on you, and that's important in the off-road world. If you've got a Pavement Princess truck or van or Sprinter, you still want that thing to look good. 20% off using our code Whiskey Throttle on a set of wheels. That's a pretty good savings. So go punch that in. Check out methodracewheels.com. I want to ask you the difference between living in Costa Rica and living here in the U.S. You obviously have family back there. You still get back there to visit them, and but you have a house here. Tell me about the differences of the two.
Man, I think for the most part, it's just the way of life. I think growing up in Costa Rica, I think first people are not used to being having your main job or what you dedicate your life to as a professional athlete, being motocross. I think it's more common in Costa Rica being a soccer player. I know here it's probably one of the rare things, but soccer is the main sport down there. Costa Rica, it's a small country, and we have family-oriented country and go to school. I went to school all the way from first grade all the way to ninth, and then from there on, that's when I decided to move out here and follow my dream and try to be a supercross racer and supercross and motocross racer. But it's a lot different. I think out here in California, it's a lot more fast-paced and probably the same things that you guys think of here and the East Coast. It's probably closer to that.
Well, because I've been down to Costa Rica for the Costa Rica Unlimited Tour. I've done a couple of vacations down there. I think I've probably been, and I did some races down there.
I remember, yeah.
Did you go to
Yeah, of course.
You had to be little, dude.
Dude, JT Gear, Suzuki, yep. Pat Bennett and all those guys. I mean, that was like, I must have been
93, so
I was like 11 years old or 10.
So you were there, huh? You went to
those? Of course, yeah. I saw Gaddis.
Pedro Gonzalez.
Yeah. I saw Gaddis winning a bunch of those against Adrian, and Kehoe went there. What was the chubby guy that raced in the bull arena?
I know who you're talking about. That bull arena was wild, man. Berms. It was literally a bull arena, and they would build the berms right up on the wall. And at one point, somebody
went into the stands. Yeah.
Well, somebody took. Maybe they took Pedro out or something. They took a fan favorite out, and I mean, you're literally 5 feet from fans. They're right there at the edge of the thing, and the berm comes up on it, and they were throwing beer bottles and stuff at them, and they were pissed. I can't remember what happened, but that was a wild. Anyway, I've been down there quite a bit, and the one thing it feels like is the pace of life is just way slower.
Mellow, yeah.
Everybody's just cruising. There's not a lot of like professional ambition. You know what I mean? People want to. And I don't mean that in a negative way.
No.
I almost think, man, these guys have it figured out.
Well, yeah, but then you're not going to get anywhere.
Yeah.
So it's like a double-edged sword,
I feel like there's a lot of poverty down there. When you drive around certain areas, I mean, it's definitely low income. But I feel like the people don't care. Like, they're happy. I guess they don't know any better or whatever, but it's almost like
they don't know any different. Yeah.
I guess that's it. But it makes you reevaluate, like, why am I like working so hard to chase? You can be happy with so little. Yes. Yeah. I kind of feel like we get caught up chasing stuff here.
But also, I think it makes the Costa Rican people blinded a little bit too, in a way that you're not striving to improve, or you don't really. I don't know. I mean, I have a hard time with that, because it's like, man. Yeah, you can be happy with so little, but at the same time, if you're not, if you're not an ambition person, then there's no goals, and you're never going to get ahead.
Yeah, and generation after generation, it's just going to be the same, right? Like, somebody has to be that type A person to go out and.
Yeah, because I mean, definitely, I don't think there's any good in just trying to always stay the same. I think definitely for a country like Costa Rica, and I think they've been battling this for, I don't know, 20, 30, 50 years, but you would think that, or I feel that in every place that you try to be successful, you're always trying to improve and get better, and for us to always, Costa Rica as a country, always try to stay the same, or it doesn't help,
Well, yeah, it is just a very different mindset, and we have here in America, we might be a little. Our culture is just one of work, right? Like, thank God it's
more
Monday
California
stickers.
than I think other
places. Agreed. But I think that there's maybe a happy medium, right? Like, we're maybe a little too fixated on professional career here.
Like a robot, yeah.
Yeah, and there it's maybe a little too chilled out. It's great for vacation, but maybe there's somewhere in the middle, right? Like, if you could learn from, if either country could learn from each other and go, all right, let me learn to enjoy my life a little bit more, right? And what I have, and not try to need a new car, I need the watch, I need this, I need that. And they need to go, all right, maybe I need to get my ass up and get to work a little earlier or something, Anyway, yeah. I just think it's a very interesting juxtaposition between the two countries. They're very different.
For sure, yeah. Yeah, I mean, you're right. I think, I don't know, but I think, and I now that you mentioned that, I see a lot of people that were in my generation in school and things like that. Most of them have really left Costa Rica because there's really not that many opportunities over there,
And that's the sad part when people aren't ambitious, right? Yeah. What jobs are there? Just vacation, tourism.
But for Costa Rica, being a Costa Rican, okay, like you said, well, if you are from Costa Rica and then you want to have a nice vacation or something, it's hard because the opportunities in the job. I mean, and it's not. Maybe it's a little percentage that I'm referring to, but they really don't know, and they don't have the money or the salary to take to have those opportunities.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. Let me ask you this, another question here. What would you tell kids who come from countries like Costa Rica where success as a motocross racer is not common, right? Because you came out of a place where I don't think there's ever been a professional racer who's even made a supercross main, let alone won 2 titles. So you really broke the mold there. What do you say to those kids where they just feel like the odds are stacked against them? Like, I'm from, Bolivia. There's no way I'm going to make it as a racer, whatever.
Yeah. Well, I think, first of all, you got to be 100% sure that this is what you want to dedicate your life to, because I think, supercross and motocross is definitely one of the toughest sports and demanding and stressful and so many of these things. As you get older, it becomes harder, and when you're young, you don't really think about all these things. I think after being 100% sure that that's that you want to dedicate your life to, try to come up to the U.S. I think that's the only way that you're ever gonna be successful and try to reach your goal. Because I think in the countries that we're from, even in Brazil, Latin America, I mean, there is the competition is not there. They don't know the support. The tracks are not the same, and it's almost impossible.
Yeah, you've got to get to where the competition is, right?
Yeah.
Even like I grew up in Montana, and had I stayed there, we moved when I was 10 to Arizona, where I could at least ride year round, and then we could drive over day trips to California and race all the fast kids. And I'm sure if I'd have stayed in Montana, I'd have never done anything with it. You just can't if you're only riding 6 months out of the year, 7.
Montana has a
gnarly winter. Winter times are brutal. So
yeah.
Anyway, interesting. Well, yeah, and then commit 100%, right? Like I want to talk about that when we get to that point in your career, because we talked a little bit about culture down there and how it's real laid back and not super ambitious, but dude, you were super committed. So I'm curious as to where that came from, and we'll dive into that a little bit here as we get going. But hey, get over to whiskeythrottleshow.com before we get started with Ernie here. We got a whole bunch of new merch out. We appreciate all the support. The sales have been great on this stuff. The Vet Class Hero Tee is selling really well. If you haven't seen that, it's funny. Lots of stuff. And also, we are getting down the last couple weeks here before the Ryder Cup. So if you guys are interested in golfing, if you live anywhere in the Southwest, there's still spots available to golf. We've got sponsorship opportunities available, all tax deductible, whether you're playing or sponsoring. So it's getting to be tax season here soon. Get that break for yourself and come out and golf with us. We got Adam Cincerilla's coming. The Lawrence brothers are coming. Rhino's coming. Emmig's coming. Glover's coming. Ron Lachine is coming. Anyway, tons of great guys from Pro Circuit here. Shimoda, Hammaker. Anyway, lots of great dudes coming. It's going to be a lot of fun. And you can bid to golf with a couple of those guys. That'll be up on our website. So whiskeythrottleshow.com. Check it out. Okay. Our guest is brought to you by Therabody. Get over and check out all the things they got going on, including the Power Dot, which is a new they purchased Power Dot if you weren't familiar. So the Theragun that they have, they've got vibrating rollers and massaging tools, and now the Power Dot. So get over there and check out all their stuff. Tell me about Costa Rica growing up there. Where were you outside of San Jose, close to the city?
No, I was. It's in San Pablo de Heredia, which.
What part of the country? Like
it's just in the Central Valley. I mean,
okay.
You know, between Alajuela, San Jose, and Heredia, it's like 15, 20 minutes.
Okay.
Traffic is really bad now, so maybe it would take probably more like 30. Yeah. But it's all like 10-kilometer radius. You know, it's
okay. So it's not far.
Yeah.
And did your family ride? Did you guys have land?
No.
Or is there open space?
No, I mean when my mom married my stepdad the second time, he was just like a diehard. You know, he's a diehard fan of moto, so he was the one that got me involved in it.
Okay, cool. Is that the guy in the photo that you
No, that's my cousin's dad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because there's like a little bit of resemblance. I thought, maybe that's Ernie's dad. I didn't know.
No, yeah. He's my cousin's Nacho's dad.
Okay.
He passed away already, but yeah. He that's funny that he was in that picture, yeah.
So did you have any brothers or sisters?
I have
a sister, right?
I have a sister and I have a brother, yeah. I'm the oldest, then my sister, and my brother is the youngest.
Okay. And your sister raced too, right? Somebody posted something like she came over here to maybe
rode
Dominican
a little
Republic?
bit. No, I mean she just rode a little bit, you know, for fun every now and then. But she never raced, yeah.
Oh, she didn't. Okay.
Yeah.
I must have got some bad info. I feel like, and I'm curious to get your take on this, in Costa Rica, there's like the middle class doesn't really exist, which I think kind of goes along with what we talked about where there's really wealthy people. And this is just when you drive through the country, you see huge, like crazy mansions and then people living in like homemade houses, like shacks, you know?
Yeah.
You don't see a lot. There's not a lot of just middle class community. Do you think that's accurate? And where were you guys on that scale growing up?
You know, I don't want to say that we were, you know, really, really poor, but at the same, but we, you know, I don't think we were probably right there, right middle class.
Okay.
As you know, I remember, you know, racing a race and giving my stepdad like some money to put like a pipe in one of the vehicles that we were owning that we owned to use to go to a race. And I never, or my mom always taught me that, you know, we shouldn't waste money, and it was definitely tough at the beginning all the way up until, you know, we got a sponsor. And I remember, I'm sure everybody will remember this because
Kodak.
Yeah. So he was just a diehard fan.
Who was I just talking to about you coming on? They said, "Oh yeah, the Kodak kid, man. I remember, you know, came over."
Yeah. So, you know, he gave us the opportunity. Like Carlos was just a guy that loved the sport and was a diehard fan, and he built a team around the whole thing. So we were, you know, there was like maybe anywhere it changed, you know, but it started like maybe 5 guys, and probably at one point it went to like 8 or 10 or whatever. Yeah. So we would come to Mini-O's and different events, you know. But I remember at one time I came to Mini-O's, I went to Lake Whitney, I went to World Minis, I went to Mammoth. So that gave me, you know, that gave me a huge opportunity, and the reason why I think I was so successful in the U.S. as an amateur.
Because of him.
Of course.
And he was he an owner in Kodak, or what was his?
He was the importer, or
Okay.
he was the distributor for Kodak film back in the 90s.
Because he sponsored those Supercrosses. Those were Kodak.
Yeah,
you know,
that was the
whatever.
Bull Arena
Yeah,
race.
yeah,
He was,
yeah.
he would bring, Gaddis, Pat Bennett, Sean Wynn, Terry Teeny, Billy
Terry Teeny,
Whitley.
yeah.
You came the one time,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, those were a lot of fun. Did you play any other sports? Like when you were growing up, did you play soccer? Or?
I loved playing soccer. That was, I that was kind of like, at one point it was never really a tough decision, because I felt that soccer, you needed to be so good, and it was just a lot more competitive.
Yeah.
And that wasn't the reason I didn't choose that, but it was just because my stepdad, he just always pushed motocross, and I was good at it too, so then that made it so much easier.
Yeah, yeah. It's crazy that soccer, again, like talking about just differences in the country. People here, because my girls play soccer competitively on travel teams, and it's an awesome game. Like I've grown to love it, but like people don't care about it at all. You know what I mean?
I know, no, dude. The Super Bowl is way bigger than the whole World Cup, and I don't think people realize, and they don't understand that.
But I think like in the U.S. too, we don't care about F1, right? And that's the most high level motorsport I think that there is, if we're being honest, all of us, in terms of dollars and exposure. But I would say largely most people in this country don't really follow or care about F1. They'd rather follow NASCAR or U.S. stuff, So
yeah,
just different cultures. So what was your very first bike then?
My very first bike was a QR50.
Honda. That was that Honda one?
Yep,
okay.
yep.
I didn't really recognize that bike.
Yeah.
It was like a XR50 kind of, but it looked a little different.
But the XR was a two-stroke, so QR was just...
No, the XR was a four-stroke.
Sorry, the QR was a two-stroke.
Oh, the QR was a two-stroke. Oh,
yeah.
really?
Yeah.
Dang.
So that was 87, yeah. It was one of those little bikes with the blue seat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And did you race right away, like when you got that and started
I
riding?
remember I got that on a Wednesday, and then my first race was on a Sunday. Dude, my stepdad brought all his friends, and I remember I would crash so much around the whole race, and I cried while I was racing, the whole time I was crying. And then somebody just picked me up, get me on the bike, and keep going, and then I kept crying, and then I would crash in the other, and same thing, from the beginning all the way to the end of the race, yeah.
Well, good. I'm glad I'm not the only one. I used to love riding my Weisinger, and then my dad got me a bike with the modified pipe.
Yeah.
And it was super loud. And I cried just riding it. I'm like, it's too loud. It's scaring me. I didn't like it for a while.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know the reason why I was crying the whole time, because, I don't think I didn't get hurt.
Yeah.
It was just, I don't know why. But anyways, that was the story. And then from there on, I raced the whole championship down there. And I think that first season I ended up being we went to Guatemala for a race.
Your first year, you just were traveling, doing it.
Yeah, but it was just much different then, I remember, and everyone knows Adrian in Costa Rica, they had a team, and he was, man, the Delta team was like, you wanted to be on that team. Almost like back in the 80s here, where you wanted to be factory Honda. That's where my whole factory Honda thing grew up, and I'm like, I want to race to be on a Honda one day. That was kind of like where it all started for me.
Yeah, for sure. I think a lot of people, anyone that saw that HRC era was like, okay, I got to get there, right? So was it your stepdad that sort of helped you with just fundamentals and how to ride and stuff, or who were you learning from? I got to think like that had to be tough, because I guess Adrian, he would have been a good resource, but like.
Yeah, I mean, my stepdad, he definitely gave me a lot of pointers, and that was the beginning of learning. And then from there on, I think Donnie Hansen came to Costa Rica one time, and Carlos brought him for that. And then I went to a David Bailey school. I went to Dr. Metzger. Dude, I kind of I went through all the possible schools that you could learn from to try to be, a good rider. And then you just pick little things here and there from all the different coaches and stuff.
Yeah.
But
well, it was a little different in our era, because there wasn't YouTube. It's not like you could go and watch a million videos of GP guys and
But
pro
you gotta
guys,
apply it too, so it doesn't matter how much you see it. I feel like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And the fundamentals are fundamentals, but I feel like with the advent of the internet and YouTube, like look at the European guys, the GP guys. You used to be able to always tell a GP guy, right? His back was all stiff, elbows were down, they got the chest protector under the jersey all bulky. Like you could just glance at a guy and go, oh yeah, he's a GP guy. You can't tell now. They're like scrubbing and, you can't tell them from a US guy from anyone, any of the best riders in the world.
Yeah.
So I think they've been able to watch and go, okay, that's what it's supposed to look like. Let me go work on that.
Well, I remember the facts. I mean, I don't know. There was, I think, 27 years or something went by that the U.S. won the Nations for? I mean, I don't know exactly, but it was. And I think it's definitely changed and caught up a bit on the different variables and factors that have changed that. Yeah. But I don't know. It's hard. I think there was the dominance back then. It was a lot more. How can you put it? Like you could just tell that.
Well, the gap was definitely bigger. I don't know why. I don't know. Like I said, I think once the internet came along and they could really watch more, they were able to just because I can watch somebody and pick something up and go, ooh, that was cool. He left his feet on the pegs through here. I'm gonna try that. Or watching James scrub. They didn't have that figured out for a little bit, but then now, shoot, some of those guys scrub hard.
But I remember because I watched James. I saw James from when he was 4 or 5 years old at Mini-O's. And you could just tell, I mean, he was just one of a kind. Yeah. I don't think, and the same thing when he got on the 125 and watching him, I remember seeing him in Supercross in Phoenix from the stands, watching practice and just being like, man, this dude is unbelievable.
Another level. Just a whole other thing, yeah.
So I think it's an era, like when you get a rider that stands out, that's why they don't come along like every year,
Yeah, agreed. So who were was other than Adrian, were there other fast guys down there that you rode with or looked up to, kind of worked with?
Not that much, really. I mean, I think he was, he was champion for like 30 some years.
He's like Jeremy and Ricky all rolled up into one for Costa Rica, right?
There for sure.
Were you at that time, like early on in your career, were you watching races from Europe or from here? Supercross,
yes.
that kind of stuff?
When, back in 87, I remember watching RJ, I remember, let's see if I can remember. In 87, I remember watching RJ. Johnny O was in a number 9 on a Cowie, you're right. Maybe, and I even saw him in a Suzuki too at some point.
Yeah.
Stanton number 7. I remember because he was my idol. I remember watching Bradshaw 45 on a Yamaha. Man, he was one of those James Stewart, back in the day too. I remember watching a race. I think it was in Miami Supercross. He crashed like 3 times and he came through the field and landed on Ty Davis and won the race.
Doing that like step on, step off triple thing they're always doing, right?
And dude, the place was like ruts like all throughout the whole track.
It's the only sandy Supercross I've ever seen is that one. It was pretty much sand.
That was definitely a tough track, it seemed like.
Okay, so at what point did you get more serious? You started coming here. I was on an 80, right? Did you ever come on a 60 or?
When I decided, okay, this is what I'm gonna, try to fulfill my dream or dedicate my life to, it was like around 94. And in 92, I raced my first ever Mini-O's.
Okay. So 92, you'd been how old?
I just turned 12.
Okay.
Yeah, and in Costa Rica, I had just moved to 80s, but back then we had this guy Caleb Leith.
And, I know him.
Yeah. And Gary, his dad. So he was a big influence on us, and he guided us a lot through. Okay, what do you guys? Because he spoke English, and not many of us spoke English at the time. So he was kind of like our go-to person, and he's like, man, why don't we organize this trip, to Mini-O's? I think it'll be a good start. And so I think 4 or 5 of us and the dads and moms and everyone just grabbed the stuff, and we made a trip out here to Minneapolis. And I had just moved to 80s, but he's like, man, you make the cut the cut for the age group. Why don't you ride 60s in the 711, I think it was.
Okay.
And I'm like, yeah, dude, I can dominate that bike. I can just ride that thing like it was nothing. So I signed up for 60s, even though I wasn't riding 60s anymore.
Okay.
And I ended up winning I won the class.
Is that right?
Yeah. So then, I got like a certificate and all this like recognition letters from Mark Johnson from Team Green. And I was so pumped, and I'm like, man, I think from there on, that's when it kind of like, I thought, I didn't know that I was good before.
So you were kind of surprised. You came over and did pretty. I mean, you won. So you're like, oh man, I'm legit.
Yeah, I'm okay. And then I was racing the 711 class, and I raced with Pastrana and Walker and Aaron Lindsay at the time, and I think from there on, that's when I'm like, I'm okay at this. I think I can probably give it a shot and see if I can make it.
There was somebody that said I had to ask him about the time he went to Loretta's and something got messed up with his injury and he had to start on the second row.
Yeah, that was
what was that about?
Because we didn't know how all that stuff worked at the time, and we'd had to go. We went through an area qualifier, and I went through a regional, but we never sent the paperwork.
Oh.
So I show up to Loretta's, and then Davey knew Carlos, and he knew all the stuff, so he made an exception, and I had to start. But from after the first moto, then however you placed, then the second moto, I would start from.
Yeah. So some other dude who did terrible was in the back?
Second row, yeah. So that was kind of how that thing, started.
I don't remember any of that happening, but I'm sure that's not the first time it's happened.
Well, but you were already like split fire, I think, 29 or something like that. When I was, my first year, Loretta Lynn's was 95 maybe?
Okay.
Yeah, I remember you probably broke your femur at San Diego Supercross or something like
96, that. 96, yeah. 96 I did. Good times. There was a Yamaha dealership, BSA or
BSY.
something? BSY.
Those
Which
guys
is what? They're a Florida dealership?
They are, yeah. I don't think they're...
Oh, they're gone?
Yeah, they're no longer around, but...
I just always remember seeing the stickers on your
fender.
fender.
The fender, yeah. And dude, they were a huge part of my amateur career, and from 90... Let's see, from probably 94 all the way to like when I turned pro, they were one of my biggest supporters, and I would come from Costa Rica, fly into Orlando, drive to Cocoa Beach, and pick up the bikes, or ride there, train there, and I remember this is a funny story, dude. I drove in Florida, I don't know, probably a month or two without a license, just driving around, and okay, so I go do my driver's permit and all this stuff, and I passed it, and I get my driver's permit. So I'm like, man, I'm legit now. I'm going to drive to Ricky's. So I go from Cocoa to Tallahassee. It's probably like 4 hours, maybe like around 5. And I think up to 95, I'm like, man, I've been driving for such a long time, and it was a long trip, and I'm going like, I don't know if the speed limit was like 70 or something. I'm going like 80 or 85 or something like that. And I'm thinking, man, I'm going too fast. The minute I think that,
lights
pulled over, dude. Yeah, and I'm so bummed, and like I'm so scared because.
How was your English at that point?
It wasn't bad, but it wasn't as good as it is now.
Okay.
And the cop comes in, and he gets all pissed off, and I'm like, man, I feel like the guy's gonna put me in jail, and gives me the ticket, and I keep on driving, and I was so bummed, but it's crazy because I had been driving in Florida for a couple months, and imagine what happened if they would have pulled me over. I probably would have been in the, I don't know, youth jail or something.
Did you have a Costa Rican license or no?
No.
Nothing. You're just cruising around.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a problem.
For sure.
That's funny. So he just gave you the speeding ticket? Because are you supposed to drive with a permit? Oh,
yeah, you're just supposed to have. But you're supposed to have
a licensed driver, right?
Yeah, someone with you.
That's what I thought.
And that's why I thought I was in such a. But I don't know. I gave him the story and stuff, and yeah, he was okay with it. And I remember looking at the ticket; it was like $95, and I'm like, dude, oh my, what am I going to do? How am I going to pay this? You know, it's like the first day I get a license and I already.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So you're doing a bunch of the amateur stuff, coming over. Kodak is helping, that Yamaha dealership. You're obviously getting some good results. Did you ever win a Loretta's title?
Yeah, I won 4 Loretta's titles.
On mini bikes or big bikes?
Maybe
Or
3.
both?
4 or 3, I don't know. I think 4. 4. Yeah, I won 2 in 80s the first year, like I think it was 9 to 13 class, stock and mod. Then I won 1 in the B class and 1 in the Open Pro, or I don't know what it was.
Yeah, A Sport or whatever.
A Sport, you're right, yeah, one of those.
So is that how the Yamaha of Troy deal came up, or how did that happen?
Okay, that came about. That came about because Johnny O and Phil's relationship.
Okay.
And also because, you know, I had a great relationship with Scott Taylor and Scott Taylor back in the day with. So it was kind of that little group, you know, on who you know pretty much.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't want to say just because of that, but
Well, I don't know how you were as a 80 kid and little and big, but I remember the first time I met you at Steel City. Must have been 97. Does that sound right?
90.
Because I rode for Pro Circuit, and you came like into the trailer.
98,
and you were just like,
I think.
Was it? Well, I would have been.
Well, maybe
it was before that. Had to be. You just came up into the semi, and we're changing gear, and you just like popped up. Hey, I'm Ernie. Hi. And you're like hanging, and I'm like, that dude's nice. Like, that's a cool kid. Who is that? And I think Ricky was like, oh yeah, he's like really good rider. I'm like, oh, cool.
Maybe, dude. I think 98. Well, I
wasn't there in 98.
I wasn't racing. Maybe 97. I came there to just hang
Didn't
out.
You race 97 or you raced 98?
I raced 98.
But you just came and hung out in 97? Were you
Probably.
there? Okay.
Probably,
it would have to be
yeah.
that year because I was in the Pro Circuit truck.
Yeah.
Anyway, you were just like a
because
little
I think
guy.
Nick was the one that raced there. You know, like back in the day, it was like Gosler was like 96, or no, Gosler, or I don't know. Ricky was 97, Nick Way was 98, and then
Ricky and Casey were 98. And
yep, and then that's when I remember like
Decker maybe.
No, Decker was way before because
Well, he was 97, but I think he was there in 98 also.
was
It was
Decker
2 years.
Decker was a Honda back in like
90,
Yamaha or Honda of Troy.
94.
141 or something
Yeah,
like that, right?
94. 93 or 94. I think it's 94.
But anyways, what I'm trying to get at is you'd have like a rider that they would pick up right after Loretta's or
Yeah.
and in 98 I won one Loretta's title, and then Walker won the other one or something, and then they were going to pick either me or him to go to the YOT because they had Casey had just gone from Pro Circuit to YOT,
yeah,
and then
Lytle,
Roncada, and they chose me.
Huh.
I remember that's another story, man. Cliff would probably still doesn't like me for that. And Cliff White.
Really? Why?
Yeah.
He wanted Walker?
No,
something?
because he
wanted
flew
you
me
to
out
hug.
here. He flew me out here to test the Lammy's bike out in Paris. That's the first time I ever rode a different bike than a Yamaha. And, you know, Honda people are not going to like me, but I don't care.
I mean, it's what it is.
You know, that thing had no bottom. It was just, but, you know, Goss was a little goose. He had just gotten the whole shut at Washougal like the week before, and the thing had no bottom, it was just all top.
Yeah. And
I rode the bike, and it was okay. I liked it, but I expected it to be a lot better. And back then, it was when Brasha had that team,
the Arena Cross team?
No. Well, they had what used to be the...
oh, you mean the Manchester Honda?
Yeah.
Okay, I got you.
So they were trying to work either they're going to put me on Factory Connection or the Bradshaw deal or whatever. But I rode the bike, and I'm like, man, I don't know. I don't feel comfortable. This thing is not as good as I expected it to be, and I didn't think it was. So then I remember being at the courtyard in Torrance, and I had, really good relationship with Johnny, and I'm talking to Johnny and stuff, and Kehoe and him drove by that night, and I signed the letter of intent then.
Oh, is that right?
So from there on, Cliff just like, he wasn't on
so Honda flew you up here to test, and you signed with Yamaha White.
Yeah. But after that, I think after that, me and Cliff kind of cleared all the and I love Cliff and all the respect for him. I mean, he taught us so many great things. For me being a rider at Honda later on.
So when you went back to Honda, did you guys ever talk about it?
We never really talked about it, but I know that he was, I think he understood and he knew how much as a kid, how much I, respected and liked Honda as a factory and that I, from my transition as an amateur riding at Yamaha and then from there on, man, there was just, I have another story that was just, I thought I was going to be the end of my career. After my first year, since I was so, I did so good, I told Cliff I want to ride for Honda.
Oh, jeez.
And he, did everything. And after Washougal, he had everything signed and ready. And I was just going to, after the whole race was going to be over, the plan was for me to go in the Honda truck and sign the agreement.
Well, for 90 or
for 2000.
For 2000, yeah, 99. Okay, gotcha.
So, long story short, I end up and doing crappy that day. Brock Sellards wins the overall at Washougal. So I go into the semi and I sit down and Cliff is like, "Man, I'm sorry, we cannot do the deal." And I had already told Yamaha and everything that
Oh, really?
Yeah. So So, long story short, I
why couldn't they do the deal? What was it?
Because Brock made a
if he
huge
won,
deal.
then he got an extension on his contract or something, or
no? But back then, remember they had that FMF team.
Yeah.
So what I had worked with Cliff, I wanted to be factory.
Yeah.
So I told Cliff, okay, I want to be under the factory rig, and I don't. But then Brock found out about it, and it was just like a big ordeal. At least that's what I think that happened. So Cliff is like, "Man, we can't do it.
It's causing too many problems."
Yeah, we can't do it. And I had already told Yamaha, like, okay, I'm after I'm signing with Honda. I'm done. Sorry. Thank you guys for everything. This is just it's what I've always wanted to do. This and that. And so I leave the Honda semi thinking, man,
I'm done.
Nobody knows about it. But like you said, I'm done. I'm not gonna have a choice because I already told Yamaha that I'm done.
So what'd you do?
So everyone knew about it, and Yamaha took me back.
I would have run right back to the Yamaha truck and be like, "Hey guys, listen, I was just kidding. Like, can we just do this deal?"
So that was, I can't even imagine what would have happened if they would have just shut the door. And
well, listen, you won 8 of 9 rounds or something that year. Someone was going to hire you, right? Like,
yeah, but imagine
that's an awkward position, though.
For sure, because then you just told your old boss like, "Hey, I'm done."
You guys have been good, but I'm moving on to better things. Oh, dang it. So Button tells a story about this. I wanted to share it because I think this is a great story. I was talking to him yesterday about something. He told me this. I'm like, I'm adding this in. He said that this is something he tells all of his new kids that he hires that are coming out of Loretta's. I guess when you first got over here, so end of '98 season.
Yeah,
when you
November '98, I flew out here, and I'll tell you this is another story, but I'll tell it to you later.
So he just said when you got here, you obviously you were fast amateur, and they probably your expectations were.
I wanted to be top 5. That was my goal.
He said you got here and you could not go through the whoops. You spent weeks going around them, like you couldn't get through them, and he said he just remembers being out there and he'd see you getting the jumps down and kind of doing your thing, but you kept going around the whoops, and but he said you'd be the first one there, and he goes, guys would be packing up and leaving, and Ernie's still out there. Ernie would ride all day, so he tells his guys, he's like, you're gonna go to the Supercross track and it's gonna be frustrating. You're gonna think, I shouldn't be here. You're gonna have all these doubts. And he tells this story. He goes, This is a kid from Costa Rica, never really raced Supercross, couldn't get through the whoops at all day one, and by the time that series starts, you won the opener, won is it 8 out of 9 or 7 out of 8?
7 out of 8.
7 out of 8 rounds and won the title in your first year. So like, and he just says like you were so committed, like you were 100% in, and you were gonna do whatever it took. And he, like, it's a story he still tells. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, you know, it was just something that I remember coming out here, and then on my first dinner, Kenny picks me up at LAX, and then we drive down and get off at Rancho California Road, and we pull up into Chili's, and then there's like MCs there with, you know, sitting having dinner with Button, and so it's like, imagine for a kid that comes and on his first, you know, visit to a restaurant, and then he gets it. So it's like, man, this is unbelievable.
Chili's was the only spot in Temecula back then at the time, but
and I was just, you know, I was living my dream, and I had no distractions. That's my only focus, and that's the only thing I care about. So it was easy because, you know, all I had to do was ride.
Yeah.
And on top of that, then you go to the track and you see all the best riders in the world, and you could just learn from them. And I had no pressure. You know, they always made sure that, okay, dude, don't worry, you just got to break the top 10. So nobody had no expectations for me, and I think I rode so much, and I was really ready for when the first round came around. So
a week or 2 weeks before that opener, where were you at? Did you think I can win? I mean, you obviously had seen your speed with other guys.
No, I never really thought of that. I know I was close.
Because Casey was on fire that year. Like he
yeah,
was
but Casey
so
was
good.
the West Coast.
But you were riding with him, I'm sure, right? Didn't you guys? Because you would.
Yeah,
this was something I thought about YOT.
No, we would
they would
race
make you guys
and practice
do motos together.
Yeah. So, but also they never really, you know, I wasn't even, or that's the way I looked at it, and I thought that I was never really a threat to them. You know what I mean? Because I was the amateur, the rookie, and I just tried to. If I was close to them, I was happy.
Yeah.
So I think when I came to the first race, and if I was close to whoever had the fastest lap time, then that's all it mattered. But then I think the pressure and Roncada had an arm pump and all these things. So I think that played a big factor in the outcome.
That was a really strong team that year. Because Casey, Lytle, and Johnson were strong.
Mm-hmm.
Casey outdoors, Lytle struggled a little bit, but like then you and Roncada, indoors and out, were
we
both
had
good, like,
we had so much preparation too, and I think the base, like the bike was so good to start with, so I think that was a big advantage, I would say, compared to like Suzuki, Primal Impulse, you know, PC.
You guys had
Honda
the best bikes. Yeah.
Dude, for sure, hands down. And I remember, I mean, all the testing that we did, Dean Baker, he was just on it, and we had all these different options. And, I mean, we had 3 months of testing, like, a lot, dude. So I think we were prepared.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, geez, you guys, that year was great for you guys. So tell me about that first season. I mean, you won your... What did you think after the first race? You win your very first Supercross. I don't know how many people have done that, but it's probably not a lot. Stu didn't even pull that off.
I think Kennard did, right?
Maybe. I think Cincerella did. But, I mean, it's a small group of guys. Like, it doesn't happen very often. Like, what were you thinking after that?
Yeah, I think, okay, well, maybe I won the first one. Well, I want to try to do good at the second one. But then I won the second one, and then after that, then you get confidence, and it becomes easier. Yeah. So...
I feel like looking back through your results too, you always did well at the season opener. Are you pretty good? I mean, you must be pretty good at managing stress and just blocking it out and doing what you do.
I'm not, you know, I'm okay. I wouldn't say that I'm really good at it, but I think it's just age, dude. I think, you know, not really overthinking a lot of things and just, I think trying to be prepared and just going with the flow, and so many things can happen that are not in your control.
Yeah.
That I think that played a big factor into that too, because the first year of me riding the 450 or the 250 class, I wasn't ready and I wasn't prepared. But so many things happened into that race, and I got third. You know, and I think I was just there, and I just rode my race, and I didn't really do anything spectacular, but I just didn't crash. And all the other guys, you know,
all the other guys just blew
crashed.
up.
Yeah.
Well, if you look through, I mean, at the start of every series, you have pretty strong finishes typically. As I was looking through your results, so I don't know if there was something to that, or I mean, you're just You're saying you just didn't buckle, you just kind of did your thing, and maybe that's your trick, right?
I did, you know, I did okay, but I don't know. I think it aged a little bit, and I also maybe so much hype and so much pressure from all the other guys, and like you said, I mean, do you remember that one race that Ricky crashed and like LaRocco ran into him, and like he was unconscious, and like Pastrana crashed and Reed crashed, and all these.
That was Anaheim 2, or was it the opener? It was the opener. Yeah, you're right.
So, and I think I ended up getting 4th or 5th or 3rd. I don't know. Anyways, Villeman won, I think.
Yeah, that was the opener in 02.
Yeah, and I don't know. There was so many things where I never really felt comfortable when I rode for a factory Honda. That's another thing. They gave you so many options on like a shift lever, let's say, that I think that was against a rider, because dude, you have and you go crazy with all the different all the different things that you have to try, and it's like, man, dude, when you're an amateur, you have these handlebars and that's all you got, and those things are perfect. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and a lot of these teams have hired guys now as their what would they call them? Like just
test rider. I go against that. That's stupid, because each you know, your riding style might be different than mine.
Yeah.
Ricky's different style is different. It's like the test guy is just gonna do one thing general for all of us, and I don't agree with that. People should work, and they should just, you know, be responsible for what you choose.
Mm-hmm. There are so many options, though, like to your point, you know, and maybe a shift lever would be a personal thing, but if there's 6 sets of engine hangers, and you know how that is, it's such a, this one's a little bit better. It's not usually this massive feel that's better or worse. So to have a guy run, like Ivan, he does that here for Pro Circuit, right? He'll run through a bunch of the stuff so that the options are limited. Now, instead of testing 12 pipes, the guys have, here's 3. Here was the best 3. Pick which one you like. So I just noticed that's a trend that's happening.
No.
Morris is doing that for KTM. Ivan's doing it here. Anyway.
But dude, you're a professional. You you know, and I don't know, dude. They have back then. I remember, like, let's say at YOT. I remember, you know, we ran maybe 6 pipes. Casey picked the one, I picked the other one, Lytle picked a different one. But you know, if you have 12, I mean, you're right. That's just way too much time. Wait, you know, you're gonna waste a lot of time picking and what's good and what's bad. But I remember also we would get to a race, and and Dean would have the notes and be like, man, that pipe that we tried at the test track might be good for this, because the tracks are so tacky back east that it, you know, the bike would need more power, to where out here it's so
you want a revving pipe because you're spinning more.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
So I don't know. It's hard, and I think when you get to that level. But also, I remember in Honda, the bike. I remember, you know, when the 450 was so powerful, dude. I wanted that thing to be just slower.
Can you just put stock stuff on it?
Yeah.
So after you win that first season, that championship, what is that? That's got to be just so, like, almost overwhelming for you. Or at that point, had you just sort of built to the point where, like, you expected it and it wasn't that big a deal?
No.
Like, did you take a second to go, holy crap, I did it? Even if that's as far as you ever got. Like, you just won a Supercross championship, you know? Like, that's...
Yeah, I was really happy, and it was definitely a big deal for me. I was competitive, and I remember Pastrana was the big kid coming into the scene now. And I'm like, man, dude, I beat this dude in the amateur ranks, and I you know, I want to try to, you know, keep beating him and not him to beat me. And I remember we raced at the super, or what is it called?
Rose Bowl.
Yeah, at the Rose Bowl for that.
99?
Yep.
That's right. I was in that.
And man, I
got third. I was leading and crashed in the whoops, and you two passed me.
And I remember, I got a terrible start, and I was riding good, and I'm like, man, I think I could beat Travis, but I crashed in the whoops.
And, you crashed in the whoops too?
Yeah, and in the last lap I was really close. Or anyways, long story short, but then from there on, Travis has started doing a lot better and getting really fast, and I think that's when, man, I remember in the outdoors he was just unstoppable.
Yeah, he was. Okay, if I don't ask you this question, I'm going to get hate mail. St. Louis 99. Poor Kelly Smith. Led that whole race. You went down in the first turn. KTM had never won a Supercross to this point. If you guys haven't seen this, it's painful to watch. Kelly's a great dude. He's leading this Supercross. He's out front from the start and checked out. You washed out in the first turn or something and working your way back. And on the last lap, I think the last lap when you came around, there was still a 4-second gap. And so watching, I'm like, how does he even catch him, dude? And you were doing a triple that was super fast, and you just had some better lines. Anyway, you got right on him. And I watched it over and over. He definitely drifted into your line. Not that it was his fault.
But I think that's just the decision with age, and you're just crazy because, dude, I was jumping triples in between traffic and then just doing everything I could to try to get to the front. And, like I come do turn and then do double, triple, something, and then he only did double. But I didn't care. I wasn't thinking of what he was doing, So I just landed. There was no room really, and I don't know. But now I don't.
If you could go back and do it, you would have checked up.
I would. Yeah, I don't think I would have done it. But at the time, I didn't care. I crashed in the start. I wasn't expecting to get even in the podium, so I was just racing, and I jumped and clipped his bars, and he crashed, and I almost crashed. But
I don't know how you didn't crash.
I know. Yeah,
it was crazy.
So ended up winning the race and keeping the streak alive. And of course I was really pumped because everything worked in my favor and not in his, But
what did he say to you after? Because he was pretty.
He never really said. I'm sure he didn't like me, but we never really. It wasn't like we were friends,
Right. You guys never ever talk about it.
No.
After? Yeah, it just never got brought up.
Yeah, and we were, he wasn't, as an amateur, he was never really my friend, or I never even really knew him before.
Yeah.
So,
well, watching it, two things came to my mind. I'm like, this kid just came from last to second. He's leading this title by a mile. You could have easily settled for second, or at least checked up, and maybe you could still get him between there and the finish line, right? There was only a handful of turns left.
Yeah.
But I'm like, he wants it so bad. He was just sending it. Like there was no at least this is what it looked like, and you tell me what you're thinking, but no way were you going, all right, I'll just kind of take a second. Second's good. Like you wanted to win.
I wasn't even thinking about that. Yeah, I just didn't. I don't know. I think that's just a thing with age. Like that's how James crashed when he was young, and he would just be winning by a mile and head wide open, and he so it's the same thing.
Just young and wanted it so bad.
Yeah. I don't think you really, you don't think about all the other things that you can do. Because like you said, I could have just got second and it didn't matter. But that wasn't, I wanted to win.
Yeah. It's wild, man. It was an impressive ride for sure. I feel bad for Kelly because I liked him. But
you guys rode, you were teammates in KTM.
We were teammates
too.
1 year, 01 at KTM. But, if you're looking at that thing, he definitely drifted left to right into your line. And when you took off for the triple, you immediately kind of see he's coming over, and you try to miss. Like I said, I don't know how you didn't die. Like, you should have crashed for sure.
For sure, yeah.
You caught your fork lug on his hand and somehow just rode out of it.
I don't know how, yeah.
Crazy. Okay. So now MX. So it's super weird looking at your results because early on it was like Supercross just looked like it came super easy to you. You were crushing it. So smooth. You never looked like you were trying hard. But then outdoors, your results were they were okay, right? Like
7th or something like that.
Yeah, you were 8th overall that year. after you had just won 7 out of 8 supercrosses, right? So I don't know what the expectation would have been, but like, was motocross tougher for you or what?
I would say for sure at the beginning of my career, and it was different towards the end.
Totally. It's flip-flop where it almost looked like you were getting better results.
I think supercross is hard, and I think it's just a lot more mind-tiring.
Uh-huh.
You know, you have to be so precise, and if you mess up, you know, it's a big
big penalty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think as I grew older, probably I started, you know, there was just so much that goes into, like, you know, make more money, and you start thinking about, you grow older as a person, and you're more mature, and man, you just like, this is the only thing I have in life, and what happens if I'm done, if I'm tired of it, and if I don't want to race anymore, and all those things just you know, you come into mind. And I think that's when that's kind of what happened to me a little bit in my career. At the beginning, I wasn't really worried about anything. I just wanted to fulfill my dream. I did great my first year. My second year, I crashed at that Dana Dirt race and at LACR, and then I got airlifted, and I got nerve damage in one of my shoulders, so I couldn't train for like maybe 2 or 3 months. I couldn't even lift my arm to put shampoo in my hair. And I decided to race at the first race in 2000, and then in the first turn, me and Roncada like got together, and my leg goes into his rear tire. Then, you know, we're stuck, and then everything started off bad, and then arm pump and all these, you know, different factors. So then you second guess yourself, and you start doubting, and then that was like a terrible year for me. You know, after winning 7 out of 8, and then the second year I only won 1 race.
Yeah. I was going to ask if it was a more pressure trying to defend it, but it sounds like you were kind of behind the 8 ball.
I just wasn't
from the start.
ready, yeah. And you know, I wasn't ready, and things were just tough. And you know, from there on, then the 4-strokes came around.
Yeah, so you were 5th overall in Supercross. Obviously had some issues. 7th outdoors, so a little better than the year before.
But I think outdoors was just definitely a lot tougher for me.
What was it about it? Like, was it just the
tracks, dude? I mean, it's just I when I was in Costa Rica, you know how the track. This is like
hard pack down there,
dude, and it's like a minute lap. You know, like a minute 20, the longest track out there. We're never used to having a 3-minute lap time track. Nothing like Glen Helen when there's hills and
it's ruts and mud.
Incredible, yeah. I mean, it's like a man's track.
Yeah,
and we don't have that.
Did you have Supercross tracks down there?
No, but there's a lot more similarities to a Supercross track.
Tight.
Well, I raced at the Bull Arena, and you know, it's just. I think that was it was a lot closer of what I was used to a Supercross than it was to a regular outdoor race.
Okay. Yeah, and I listen, I was no good outdoors. For me, it was the slippery, you know, they'd always water before the 125 motos, you know.
At the beginning of the race, Nathan would always get the whole shot, and then sometimes you'd see him wadded up like, or he would, you know.
If you're a good mud rider, then it's no big deal. You just know it's muddy, and
but it was so hard because it's like, dude, you had to be fast at the beginning to try to like get a gap, and if you don't take advantage of that, then, you know, Rick would always come around, freaking.
You're preaching to the choir, buddy. Yeah. So that after that 2000 season, you obviously went to the 250F for 01.
Yeah.
So when did that
cheater
start?
Bike, everybody would just.
Yeah, well, I got a story about that
when
too.
When you'd be cranking it like.
Yeah. Well, when did you start? When did that happen? Like, was that early on in the 2000 season? Was that 99? Like, when did that whole thing, that conversation start?
It started around probably the last 3 nationals of the 2000 season.
Oh, that late?
Yeah, I mean, around that time is when they said, well, this bike is going to come around, and, you know, we're going to pick either you or Nathan or both, and we're going to have one rider on each coast. And
was it you and Buckaloo on the west? Is that what it was?
Me and Buckaloo on the west, and then Nathan and Roncada.
Okay.
on the east.
Okay. So tell me about that, because you went to Japan and did a race, and was that the first
That's my first time that I ever went to Japan. Yeah.
Was the first time you raced that bike?
Yes.
And how was it? That was like a stock. I saw a photo of it. I mean, it's stock exhaust, everything.
Yep, everything was, and it was okay. It wasn't as good as they made it out to be, in my opinion. And from there on, after that, then we started testing out here at the Yamaha track, and then the bike, it got a little bit better. But
did you have a choice or no? It was kind of like
I had no choice. They just give you certain parts.
But they didn't say you can ride the 125 and we'll try with Buckaloo if he wants to ride it, or.
I don't remember that. Okay. I don't think, but I was okay with either one because the 125 was so good.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's what I said. It would have been a tough decision. Like today, obviously it's not, but back then, you don't know. You know what I mean? Like when I thought of 4-stroke back then, I thought of like an XR 600. That's all I knew. Scott Summers, mobbing through the woods on that thing. So, and then you ride it and you're like, it's not. You kind of made it sound like it'd be more of an advantage.
It was really, really good, and it was definitely an advantage at the Yamaha track because the conditions there. It's a big track. It's really hard packed, but not all the tracks are like that.
Right. Yeah, you get into sticky stuff, but then it's got more torque. So if it is sticky, it's.
Yeah, but man, for me, that wasn't the problem because we had so many options. As like a flywheel or I don't know, 52 sprocket. Or different pipe that we could choose, that I think we could overcome all those variables and things that, and plus our bike was never really hurting that bad when we would go back east, or at least the 2-stroke.
Yeah.
And the 4-stroke didn't really have that many options because it was the first year, and they were so worried that the thing was going to be unbelievable that they just, you had nothing to try.
Oh, is that right?
It was the bike, like a couple gearing a little bit, and that was a problem because 4th gear would break on the thing on the bike, and also
in the whoops.
And the starting thing was an issue because the thing wouldn't start.
Yeah,
the thing was super heavy, and there was really not many options you can choose from. It was just. You get comfortable with the controls, good. Dude, and I was so short. I sucked in the whoops from day one till I got hurt. So that didn't matter.
Well,
that's where the whole jumping through the whoops came from.
Yeah.
That's all I could do.
That bike was better in the whoops, though, would you say?
It was okay. But, dude, I had to use 4th gear and then either, like you'd go into the whoops and then if you get like a good run at it, you get through all the way perfect, but like if you're halfway into the whoops and you mess up, there's almost like no stopping. It's hard.
Mm-hmm. On a 2-stroke, you can grab the clutch, grab the brakes, drop in, and then just start jumping.
That thing, it was just a pain in the ass because the thing would chug and like stall it.
I remember you somewhere. Maybe it was Anaheim, maybe it was Phoenix, but you stalled in a heat race. You were leading, I think, and you stalled in the whoops. Do you remember that? And you kicked. And kicked.
No, that was San Diego Supercross.
Is that what it was?
The second, I was behind Buckaloo second, and then I stalled it, and then I just kicked the thing for like, dude,
you were out there for a
15 times or something.
Yeah,
wouldn't start, and then I started and then crashed again or something like that. I ended up, doing terrible. Like I got 0 points, I think, at that race.
Oh, really? So San Diego 01, this was my like aha moment with you on that bike. And I don't know if you remember this, but it was in our heat race, and you and I were battling for the lead. I can't remember if I was in front or you were. And we came across the start, and there was some little obstacle in that turn, and then like a little kicker, and then a triple. And you and I locked bars in the turn. We hit, and so we kind of got both screwed up, and we were stopped, basically, like no speed. And so I'm going, okay, well, I can't do the triple. You know how 125 is. Like,
yeah.
So I just, race up to it, and I'm going to double, and you just went and tripled. And I was like, cheater. There's no way he should be able to do that.
But also, man.
I learned right at that moment, like, okay, that bike's.
But, I don't know that year, but my first year in the 125, dude, I was 135 pounds.
Yeah.
So, a little guy, and that bike, like you said, I mean, it had
But you
all
probably
the
did it in
torque in the
second
world.
gear, right? Because I remember you guys could do the triples in second or third.
You know, that was the one thing, dude. We didn't have second gear. Our first gear was a second gear.
Oh.
And because we always had trouble going through first, because we had to do the whoops in fourth. So that was just a big pain in the ass. And stuff.
So was it still one down and then up, or did you just go up? Like
That's a good question. I don't remember, but that was a big thing because I remember Nathan didn't want to go through first gear because you'd have the chance of
neutral.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was a pain in the butt, and we'd have to. Our first was like a second gear, so we would start in first, and then I remember always trying to shift twice to go through the whoops. But then also when you were going through the whoops, that thing was like it had so much speed and it was so hard to stop that imagine trying to like shift down through the whoops because that's what you would do, like try to
keeping the throttle on while you're shifting down.
Yeah. Dude, it was a nightmare.
Huh. So you ended up winning that title though too, right? West Coast won, right?
Yep. I won 5 out of, I don't know if it was 7 or Danny Smith. It was the battle with him.
And then I remember you seemed to turn it around. You were 3rd overall outdoors that summer. So was it that thing just getting you off to better starts?
Yeah, I think it was easy.
Did you figure something out with
Well,
I
had more experience too. I had already 2 seasons in the outdoors, and I kind of picked up a little bit on certain things. I knew the tracks now. I had 2 seasons of going through all the tracks, which I think that helped a little bit. And also, getting good starts. I think it's, in outdoors. Yeah. Unless you were Ricky, dude, if you didn't get a good start, you were hosed.
I used to get so frustrated because if I got a good start, I could run with the leaders. Like that pace wasn't
and I
crazy.
think that was for most of us.
But if I started 25th, like if I got a bad start,
you probably got like 15th or something.
I'm back there battling with dudes for 20th. I'm like, I can run up front. What am I doing back here? But I couldn't.
But that was the problem for all of us.
Was it?
Yeah. Unless, like I said, unless you were Ricky or I don't know, a couple other guys that were really super, fast and could come through the field. Dude,
and like I think they're better now, like because they prep them a little more thoroughly. But like on that day, the tracks would get pretty hard packed, and then right before the 125 motos, they'd water the piss out of them.
Yeah.
So, like you're trying to make passes or push, and it's like, dude, you're sliding all over.
But I think the field was so gnarly, and I think, if you look at the at the standings for the 125 class back in the 90s, from like first all the way through like 12 or they were good, like really good riders.
Yeah. So did you feel like you figured something out, or what was it about outdoors on that thing? Just experience, you think?
I think experience and
probably starts, huh?
And starts, that was the main thing. Just if you or Nathan or Brandis, we would get like a really good start, I think we would just be up front all the time. I think the main thing was the start.
Yeah, I agree.
Jessamine was really good. He had a really good couple seasons.
You said at one point you raced an entire season here with no health insurance.
Yeah.
What happened? And that's crazy. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, for sure. What happened? What happened was, and I know all the mechanics that are my buddies will laugh at this, but they would always say like I'm a cheap guy, and I'm like, hey, dude, I'm not paying what the premium for that insurance is.
So you were protesting the price.
Pretty much. Yeah. I mean, because it was stupid. It was expensive to start with at the beginning, which, maybe nowadays it's not, but, at the time.
Oh, it is. It's still ridiculous, but.
So, and after, a couple of the guys collected from the Lloyd's of London insurance, it doubled in price. So I'm like, dude, I'm not paying that.
Are you talking about a career-ending policy or just a health insurance policy?
No, career-ending policy.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, they went from about $35,000 to double.
Yeah,
because a couple of guys paid out, and they're just basically Lloyd's of London is just a statistician. They look at, well, how many guys have paid out over time, how many guys, how many races has this guy won? Has he been hurt?
But and I remember back in the day, because I remember somebody brought this up and they were comparing the stats to like a MotoGP guy. Well, but dude, that's what a MotoGP guy makes to what we make.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, dude, you're comparing, apples to oranges.
Yeah.
So I think that was the one of the biggest things. And then I was in the middle of trying to change management at the time, and that's when one of the things that I wished I would have done or I would have had is somebody like Tony helping me at the beginning at the beginning of my career.
Gardia?
Because I think that would have definitely changed a lot of things and a lot of worries and a lot of distractions that I had over time, to where I could have been more focused on being a rider.
So those first couple of years you didn't have an agent?
Well, I did, but it just wasn't really, it was a lot up and down. Like at some point I had this guy that was Ricky's guy in Florida from Lance Langston. I don't know if you remember.
I don't remember that name.
He was just a lawyer, and he didn't know. But anyways, he did, and it was good. Then at the time I had a different somebody helping me. Then I did it. Another year I did it by myself, no agent at all, and that was tough too, because the factories, they have their interest and they worry about the factory. They don't worry about you as a rider. So I had a guy tell me, "Dude, you only got third because everyone else got hurt." Well, they lined up too.
Yeah.
That's not my problem that they got hurt. So I think that drains you, and it takes a toll on you, and it's like you don't want to hear that shit.
Yeah, no kidding.
So after that, then me and Dave Stevenson got together, and we, a couple things that had gone not too good over time, and then I ended up trying to working a deal with Tony, and Tony helped me out, and he's the reason why I got the insurance that I have now, and dude, he's the reason why I'm able to live the lifestyle that I have now, and for $6,500 bucks. Way better than the Lloyd's London.
Wow.
So
was that just through a different agency?
Yeah, I couldn't tell you exactly what it is, but I remember him calling me in, "Dude, I sent you that paperwork. You got to sign it." It was in my garage and just in a drawer for like a couple months, and it was just after that season that I rode with no insurance, then that was one of the big priorities that we had, and he called me and, "I send you that stuff, dude. You got to sign it." So I signed it, and then shortly after that, maybe like a year after that, that's when I got hurt.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
That's huge.
For sure, dude. Yeah, I mean, it was definitely
All right, I got a story. We're going to do a little story time here, because I had a bunch of people send me stuff that I had to ask you. Doug Dubach says, "You got to ask him about the time we did a team race at LACR and you had to ride doubles the last lap."
Yeah, I remember
He
that.
said he scared you on the back of the bike. What happened there?
Yeah, no, well, you as a rider, you're never used to doing things like that, and I remember, that was part of the.
Was it a day in the dirt or something? Or what were you guys? What was it?
Yeah, I think it was a day in the dirt, and you had that long straightaway in the back, and it's all asphalt or cement, dude, and the guy's going like wide open. You in the back, and you have no control.
Your feet
and I'm
are
like,
just flailing in the wind. Yeah.
And I'm like, man, that was, it's scary.
So were you screaming in his ear or what?
Yeah, I'm like, dude, go slower. Come
on. All right. So a buddy of mine named Eric Mena. Do you know him from the Dominican Republic? You know the name? He says
doesn't.
He was involved in putting on a race down there at one time, and you got carried by the crowd after the race, like crowd surfed off the podium. Do you remember that?
Oh, I don't remember, but I have a lot of great memories of racing in Dominican Republic. That was an awesome place. A track called La Yuca.
Yeah.
And I raced there maybe like 3 or 4 years. as a kid, you know, and it was just, it was awesome. There was I remember a great jump, like the finish line was super cool. It was like a downhill, you know, slope that you could just jump like as far as you can, and that was, you know, a little bit different than what we were used to in Costa Rica, because the track was one of those tracks where it was a long lap time, like, you know, not as long as probably 2 minutes, because in Costa Rica we were just used to little tracks.
Yeah. Huh.
Like Star West or.
And Chris John wanted to know about your relationship with Nicky Hayden. You guys were pretty tight. How did that happen, and then how did his passing affect you?
Yeah, Nicky and I, we met when we both. Well, he was already a Honda rider, and when I got hired by Honda, then we met at the Honda, like the Honda convention in Vegas. They would do one, or their tradition was to do one every year to introduce their team and the new team members and all that stuff. So anyways, we're about the same age, and we met, and you know, we just clicked. You know, one of those things where you just see a person, you know, you instantly become really good friends, and yeah, it was hard. And I think when Nicky, when I got hurt, and you know, all I really wanted to do is you start realizing and valuing different things in life, because you know, I was in the hospital for 3 months, and just being attached to a you know, a bed and not being able to do anything. All I wanted to do was go see Nicky win a world championship, because I know that was his dream, and I know that's all he cared about. So when I got out of the hospital and I left, and you know, I went over there and I went to Estoril, and Pedrosa cleans him out, dude.
Oh.
Yeah. So he had to win. He had to beat Rossi or win the last race in order for him to be world champion. Otherwise, that wasn't going to happen. And that's like racing against Ricky, you know, with one race to go.
It's a pretty tall order.
Yeah. So, you know, at
so
the
did
end,
you go to the final?
Yes. I went to the last race, and at the start, you know, they start and they hit. And Ricky's ahead of Rossi, so he's doing, you know, he's if everything goes as the race order was at the time, he was going to be world champion. But then Rossi crashed. Nicky got second, and Rossi, I don't know, ended up what place, but anyways, he ended up being world champion. And you know, just we had dinner that night, and it was definitely, you know, one of those things that. It was just a life-changing experience for me, because I know how much it meant to him, and it was similar to what happened to me when I won my first title. It wasn't to the same caliber, but you know, it feels.
It's the same feeling.
Yeah. So I think.
I mean, look, that's the Supercross title is a world championship, right? There is no other Supercross series. All the best riders from the world come here.
Yeah, but you know, like we have, and you know, everyone, or at least the people of us that are in the industry, it's like the kids class, and you know what I mean. But anyways, that doesn't matter. I think it's just, you know, when you win something and when you feel that you've accomplished a goal, I think you know, it doesn't matter how big it is.
Nicky, I got to know him pretty well when he came and did Supermoto under our tent, the Twirly Honda tent, for the X Games in. Must have been 2008. And I had bumped into him before and met him at races and stuff, but we weren't, I wouldn't say we were friends. You know, I didn't really run in his circles. And when he came under that tent, it was like I'd known him for 10 years or 15 years. He was just like the most friendly,
humble guy, yeah.
Yeah, man. Like he, you know, of all the things he could talk about that he's done or whatever. I don't know. He was just like, he'd ask you about you. How are you doing, man? What's new? Like, I don't know. He somehow had this way of making you feel like important. Like, I don't know. Do you know what I'm saying?
Just make you feel comfortable. And he wasn't, it's like, man, he wasn't worried about, you know, him being Nicky Hayden or, and he was just a super nice, down to earth guy that was wanting to, you know, to do good and loved racing motorcycles.
Yeah. There's there's very few people that I've come across where I'm like, I need to be more like that guy. Just as a human. You know what I mean? And he was one of them.
He didn't care about money. He didn't care about really, and I think that was one of the things that that everybody loved about him so much. Like, I remember going to his brother's wedding in Owensboro, dude, and it's just, you know, you'd go, and Owensboro is just such a little town.
Yeah.
And you know, Nick, he was just him, and he was just happy to be with his family and have fun, and that's all he really cared about.
Mm. Yeah. God, I miss that guy. Okay, I gotta ask you this. You don't have to answer this question, but when we had Sean Norfolk on the show, you know Sean Norfolk?
SND.
So, great show. If you didn't catch that one, it's a little different because it's like just a bunch of BSing, but we started telling stories, and the story came up about you and Lonnie on your 18th birthday. And if you don't want to tell it, you don't have to, because we start to, and I go,
It's okay.
I said, we'll let Ernie tell that if he wants to.
Let's keep hearing it. All right. See what his story's side of things are.
So let's hear it. If you want to tell it.
Well, no, but what is? I don't know. I don't remember because.
So here's. I'll set it up. Lonnie DiMaggio, friend of mine for a long, long time, used to date Jeff Emig. You might remember that from the 90s. She had broken up with Jeff, and you guys were somewhere, and you kind of were like, "Hey, Lonnie, like, what's up?" And she's like, "Ernie, you're not 18. Like, come see me on your 18th birthday." And if the story goes right, this was in Sean Palmer's house that Lonnie was renting there in Menifee. On your 18th birthday, you went and knocked on her door. Is that right?
That is true, yeah.
And you're like, "It's my 18th birthday," and she's like, "All right, come on in."
That is true. Yeah, I can believe How does he know about this story?
No, I was started to tell it because I think it's great. I think it's great on Lonnie's part. I think it's hilarious on your part. Like, I just think the whole story is really funny to me. And as I started, I'm like, maybe I should make sure Ernie's cool with it before I tell that story. But anyway, I thought it was great. So it's all true, right?
It is. Yeah.
Happy 18th birthday to you. Shoot. All right. Any good rental car stories?
Yeah. Man. One.
Yeah.
We're going for practice in Washougal. Lytle's driving, and he's just,
you were in that car.
Yeah.
I was right behind you guys.
Yeah. He's just like drifting it, and just like, and then one of those drifts, and man, there's nothing on the right side, and we just go off the cliff.
You guys just disappeared into the bushes.
Yeah.
And there was some girl in there that was losing her mind. She was crying.
Yeah. She worked at YOT back in Ohio.
Oh, okay.
And she wanted there to just go check out the race. Yeah.
She wasn't real happy with you guys. Yeah, I was right behind you guys, and I stopped. I'm like, "Is everybody all right?" And I think I gave you guys a ride to the pit.
Yep.
That's hilarious. I don't know how they got that car out.
Man, I don't remember either.
Because we were going to be late for practice, so like,
yeah,
Casey's
we just got in and go.
I'll figure it out later. Let's go.
Yeah.
All right. So 2002, you now won the title on the West Coast Supercross title on that 250F, and then 2002 you were factory Honda in the 250 class, right?
Yep.
So how did all that come about? Tell me about that. This would be the third time you've tried to sign with Honda.
Yeah, God, man.
I can't believe they kept coming back for you. Well, actually, the second time was them, but.
Yeah. The third time I had won, I'd won the two lights titles, and then they had that rule you had to move up because you couldn't, you won one and then you'd have to defend it, but you can only, I don't know if that's if
you
that
could
rule.
Only win if you've already won two, then you don't get to defend, right?
Yeah.
That was the deal. If it was your second one.
Yeah. So I had no choice. I had to move up, whether I wanted it or not. And Yamaha, I think they really weren't or I
They
don't
had
know.
Reed and Villeman already, right?
Yeah.
So they were kind of.
They were already kind of like they had worked their cards, and I think they were already full, or at least that's kind of what they made me think at the beginning. So, Honda they were building up this. I think they had Sebastian, they had signed Ricky, Nathan, because Nathan was going to be the developer for the 450, and they gave me an opportunity, and they gave me a contract, and I think there was maybe going to be an option for me to be on Jeremy's team when Larry was the team manager.
Oh, okay.
But they were working with the numbers and all that stuff, and they weren't sure if that was going to happen or not, so they just said, man, go ahead. So I remember I signed the Honda contract, and like a week later or something, they said that they were, they would have that option, but it was already too late because I already signed it.
Let's say you had both of those contracts sitting there. Would you have stayed on the Yamaha?
I don't think so.
Really?
Yeah, because I wanted to,
that was where you wanted to go.
Yeah, it's always like how Nate, because I listen to Nate Dogg's Whiskey Throttle show, and it's kind of where you had your heart and your mind set to you. I always wanted to do that and see the difference. I had already been not as a factory, but
yeah, sometimes just a change. I mean, Villapoto said that. He goes, I wish I would have just changed at the end. It would have just changed scenery for me, but it could have given me a fresh start. Even when Dungy went from Suzuki to KTM, he goes, man, just the change of scenery was it brought new life into me.
And you know what? And now that you say that, even throughout the middle, because I only rode for Honda my whole 450 part of my career, and I wish I would have raced for Yamaha because their bike and their whole system was different. And I only knew one thing. I started in 02 with Honda, and when I got hurt in 07, that's all I knew. And you work with the same people, they have their ways of doing things, and like you said, I mean, sometimes it changes.
It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. We get very caught up with being loyal, and that's a great quality to have, right? But this is a business. It isn't. We make friends with these people, but you have to put that all that aside when you're making decisions.
I think you got to understand too the way how the bike works, and different people like different things. And I don't mean this in a bad way, but like Tomac. Let's say Tomac's being at Honda, and I know from the people that worked around him that they felt that he wasn't really the easiest guy to work with. Then he went to Cowie, and I've also, from what I know and from the experience that I have and the people that I've worked with, Cowie's just a mellow, almost like Costa Rica mentality. You know what I mean? Like they just kind of you get to do what you like or what you want here with the bike, this and that. And then now he's at Yamaha with, it's at the end of his career and stuff, but I don't know. I really, I don't know kind of what the reason or what drives that decision, because.
Well, and maybe it's like what we just talked about. Sometimes you just get a little bland with where you're at, and you're like, you know what? I'm just going to mix it up. I know he's always chased a certain feel with his front end. The way he rides, there's something that has to feel a certain way to him in the front end. And I know he fought it at Honda, and then he fought it again at Cowie. And even that switch to KYB, I think they fought him on that, but he was just trying to get that feeling. And the word is from Florida, and this comes from other riders, not his camp, is he is ripping on this Yamaha. He loves it. So
yeah,
you always hear that though, right? Before the season, he's flying. But
yeah,
I thought it was interesting to hear Nate Thrasher and Levi Kitchen, some of these kids. I heard it from people, their mechanics, their friends. So
to me though, and you being a rider and stuff, it's always too hard to find that perfect scenario. There's always going to be something.
Yeah. yeah, you make one thing the way you want it, it's not going to do something else. It's always compromise, right?
For sure, yeah.
So you signed this Honda deal. When you got on that bike right away, were you, I guess you didn't really have a 250 two-stroke to compare
Experience,
it to, but
yeah.
were you like pretty stoked on it right away?
Yeah, there was, I was just...
That bike didn't have a lot of bottom end.
That thing sucked, yeah.
Stock trim. So...
No, but I didn't know any better, and I was just happy to ride for Honda, and that's all I knew. When things starting rising up, like, Ricky not being happy, and Chad Reed smoking us, and seeing different factors, and then you start realizing and you start questioning and second guessing yourself, and I'm like, man, that there could be other options that. And also, that's when I learned the business side of things, and that it wasn't just because, Honda, they just accepted it. Hey, the bike, the bike doesn't have any bottom. This thing sucks. Like, hey, how it has the intake going to the into the cases rather than into the cylinder. How the Yamaha was. And then that's when Ricky chose to ride the four-stroke, and then that's when he hurt his knee at Castillo's.
Mm-hmm.
So from there on, it kind of like gets you to a different perspective, and you're like, man, if they wanted to, they would have made this thing a lot better. But it was the transition of like...
They already knew they were done with two-strokes. There was no future in that for them, so they weren't going to waste the R&D money, right?
Yep. And then Roger up there at Suzuki, I mean, the guy had been putting... And that thing was good. That two-stroke was really good,
The one Ricky started with over there.
Yes. So, but then that's how, things started changing, and, that's when Ricky's like, okay, well, I'll come up right over there for, a big check, and the guy, how competitive he is, and he's like, it was like the perfect scenario.
It still was a surprise because he was so good on that four-stroke, and I feel like that was a good bike, the four-stroke. We'll get to that. I don't want to rush ahead to that, but talk about that 02 season. Third at the opener. You said you kind of cruised into that, but still you were fourth overall outdoors. This is where, like, in 01 on that 250F you did well, and you bumped right up and you're fourth overall.
No, but I rode lights.
Yeah, it was 125?
Yeah.
How was that bike?
It was okay. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't as good as the two-stroke or the four-stroke Yamaha.
Mm-hmm. No bottom again, like kind of just a rabbit.
Yeah, I mean, it just, I don't know. I don't think, it worked good for Lammy. Lammy was good in it. He would beat me all the time in it. Yeah. But, I think he was just better outdoor than I was. I don't think outdoor wasn't my strength, and I'm not going to put any excuses. I'm just, Volan was unbelievable in it, dude. He was...
Yeah, Volan was. And that bike wasn't probably as fast as what you even had, I would guess. So.
Yeah, so...
well, still fourth isn't bad. I mean, it's,
Yeah, it was painful going on the American Airlines flight every weekend and seeing the Suzuki guys and seeing Buzzard and seeing Ian give me a hard time every time. I would get smoked by those guys. It was funny, but we had a great...
Who, in 02?
Well, like, because Jessamine was riding, Suzuki, and it was funny. We would always talk crap to each other. Yeah.
That's what friends do. Okay, what about 03? Third in Supercross, eighth in 250 outdoors, and you were still on a two-stroke that year.
Yeah.
How was that season?
Well, Supercross was okay. I had a lot of crashes at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, I noticed your results. Like, it was, like good, a little up and down, and then I think you did like 6 thirds in a row to end the season, and that's with Ricky and Reed. I mean, and Wyndham, but there was a ton of guys.
I think those were the guys that ended up getting hurt towards the end of the season, because in that year, La Rocca got hurt, Pastrana got hurt. That's the one that Villeman lost to Ricky, I think, because the one crash over at the test tracks. Yeah. And so a lot of guys got hurt, but that was, if they would just would have stayed at home and didn't ride during the week, they would have been there for you know what I mean? So there's so many different factors. Like for whatever reason they got hurt.
Yeah.
And I didn't get hurt.
That's just part of the sport. Were you testing the 450 at all at this point?
No.
It wasn't even an option to you.
That wasn't an option. They wouldn't let me.
You couldn't even ride it?
Nothing. No. I never. Yeah.
But Nate was on it from 02 on, right?
Yeah. That opportunity came about after US Open I think it was that year after that.
So
because that, I rode at MGM, and it's such a small track, and it's like, man, this thing, we had a lot of clutch problems, and the same problem, the thing sucked, no bottom, and it was just like, in such a small area, try to ride it and be good at it, and be good with the bike. It was too hard, and that's when we kind of, both decided, it's like, man, dude, we have to go 4-stroke.
Mm-hmm. That was in 04?
Yeah, end of 04.
Okay. So in 04, you got hurt in Supercross, huh? You were missing from the results.
Yep.
What happened?
I heard. Okay, at San Diego Supercross, at the second round, I hurt my knee.
Okay.
And dude, they had these big whoops, like same.
I broke both my 03. What year?
I think it was was it? Oh, okay. 04 maybe, because yeah, it was 04.
04, yeah.
Yeah, because I missed out the whole Supercross, and then I had to come back in outdoors.
Yeah, you were 5th overall outdoors, so you came back pretty strong.
Yeah, that was my last year in outdoors was 05.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you were 3rd that year. So so 05. Still on the 250. I can't believe they weren't giving you the option to ride the 450 at this point.
I rode the 450 in outdoors.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, when I got 3rd in 05.
Okay, that was on the 450. Okay. Yeah. So did you know that at the start of the season? Or no, that was kind of...
No, yeah.
That was your agreement. 250 Supercross.
Yeah.
On a 250 2-stroke and then 450 outdoor.
Yeah.
So when did you start testing that thing? Early on?
Probably, end of Supercross, right where we're gonna, I don't know exactly the time, but a little before. And my bike wasn't really too. It was just mellow and closer to the stock one, because that thing was so powerful.
Yeah, especially back then, they were like lots of power. Not the delivery wasn't as smooth as they are now.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of like almost abrupt.
Yeah, and I never really had the opportunity to ride what they're on now. But that's what I hear, yeah.
Yeah. So when you first jumped on it, the first handful of times, what were you thinking? Like,
no, I mean, dude, that thing was like, I would even mess up in the start and I would still get a good start. Yeah, that thing was a beast.
Yeah, it became a pretty big advantage. So what about in 05? Anything in Supercross that year? You were 6th overall. Anything stand out from you in that season?
No.
Pretty straightforward.
That's I got hurt, before Daytona. That's 06, right?
No, 05.
Okay, I don't remember too much of 05, yeah.
Yeah, you were 3rd outdoors. That was when you rode the 450 outdoors, right? And 3rd, dude, that's awesome. 06, that was your last season. Indy in March was your last race, so it must have been just the week after, is my guess.
Yeah, I wasn't, what I can remember of 06 is just I wasn't really enjoying, and I remember going to sleep and thinking, man, what can I do to get out of this deal? Like, I just wanted to retire.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah,
you weren't having fun?
No, I was hating it. Yeah, my results weren't there. It's one of those things where, man, I'd beaten all these guys, and now they're beating me, and you're just like, I just had a bad attitude towards the whole thing, and it wasn't, I was, over getting hurt so much and always like nagging an injury. Like if it wasn't one thing, it was the other. And I just wasn't really on a, on a good position pretty much, and I remember going to the test. Me and Shorty rented a track out there, right next to you guys had a track, KTM on.
Yeah.
And Menenga was keeping that track, and I just made a mistake in a rhythm section, and I didn't pull my hands out because I lost perspective of where I was, and I just dove into the ground. And man, I remember the minute I was in the ground, just telling Alex Ewing was the first guy that got to me. I'm like, dude, I'm gonna be in a wheelchair.
You just right away you knew.
I knew, yeah. Cause
did you have any?
I have no feeling, and I couldn't move anything, and he was just going crazy, like, dude, why are you telling me this? And then I had to tell Dan Bentley, like, hey, call 911, and from there on, just the whole process started of me going to the hospital and being in ICU for like 6 weeks, and then going to Colorado after that to the rehab place. And
what went through your head when you hit the ground and you
I just knew,
that?
dude, because you know how many times you crash over your career, and this was something that I never felt before.
Yeah. Did you have pain like in your neck or back somewhere?
No, dude. I didn't really have much pain. It was just my whole body was burning, and I couldn't move or feel anything from here down. Nothing. So.
Yeah, that's. So I mean, obviously, every person that's ever had a spinal cord injury, the next 6 months to a year to 2 years, 3 years, I mean, however long it goes, it's tough, right? You're making this adjustment to this new thing, and you're hopeful, like, okay, well, maybe it'll come back, How was that whole process for you? And
Yeah, the first probably 7 years, it was hard because it's something new that you're not used to and you don't know, and it changes a little bit. You have to adapt, and life goes so slow, like every little thing. But then as time progresses and you do more things, and you're like, okay, well, dude, I have to see what I can do and what I cannot do, and what I like, and so after that changes in your life, I think then everything kind of becomes more normal, and you're just used to it, and you know what you can and you can't do. So from there on, I think it just becomes normal, and then you're used to just like, no, it's not the same, but I'm not too worried about it how I was at the beginning.
Yeah. But it was tough, huh? You have some, if I remember right, there were some stories out here where you had some low points there.
For sure, yeah. Year. At the beginning it's hard because it's something new, and I'm not completely independent like I used to before, so that's hard, when you're depending on someone to really, I don't know, if you want to go on a bicycle ride, that's not an option anymore. Or if you want to go on a bike ride, then you need a person that help you go on the bicycle and then go with you. And so there's just little variables that you have to be okay with.
Yeah.
But after you are okay with those things, I think, you just have to adapt.
Yeah. David Bailey's a good friend of mine, and we actually just went to the driving range. We're hitting balls. He's golfing now, one-handed. I don't know if you've seen him.
Yeah, no, I haven't seen him, but I've heard about it.
He's good. It's crazy. Yeah. Like, it's really fun to watch him, but he always tells me, like, it's, you think that when you get paralyzed that you're just going to miss the things you can't do. Like, that's the worst part of it, right? I want to snow ski, or I want to ride my bicycle, or this. He goes, it's the worst part is the stuff that people don't even know about, like the sores, from sitting too much, or just all the little things that happen with your body because of the injury. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And anyway, he's kind of opened my eyes to some of that, and it's tough.
Yeah, I mean,
the little things that you wouldn't even think about.
And people don't realize because they don't have to go through those things. So yeah, I think that's probably the biggest things. Like things that that people don't see or don't know, because a regular person, able-bodied, the person that walks and stuff, they don't have to deal with those things.
Yeah.
But like you said, it's just like compromising. If there's one thing, it's the other, or it's always difficult to have like the perfect scenario.
Yeah. All right. So, I heard you. Do you have another surgery too recently on your hand or something? Jimmy mentioned that too.
I had. Yeah, that was. I forgot when I had that, but that was probably in 2009 maybe.
Oh, that's a while
around
ago.
that time. Yeah. Yeah, I had like a tendon transplant to try to improve a little bit of my grip in my right hand, which it helped. It helped for like daily life stuff, but for racing, like let's say I race my wheelchair now, and for that my left hand is better.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's just it's weird. Funny, like against gravity, like with this hand I can flex like this way, and with this hand I can barely just keep it so it doesn't die.
Oh,
go
really?
down. Yeah.
And you're basically using your pad of your hand and your thumb
to push
down, yeah.
But sometimes when you get to like a really steep hill or something, my right hand just rolls because it's not strong enough to support.
I wonder if you can make a glove that kind of gives you
to
a
have
little bit
like
of a wrist brace
yeah,
or something,
That I've done that to where you just like tape it. Yeah.
Well, I don't want to jump ahead because you're doing some cool stuff in that, and I want to talk about it. Tell me what you've been up to. Like, I haven't seen you much, man, from really the time you got hurt to now. Like, I've only bumped into you a handful of times, you know. Like, what have you been doing?
Yeah, I try to stay active and exercise a bit, and try to always keep it fun. I think that's kind of what I try to worry about the most. If I'm not enjoying it or having fun, then I try to stay away from it. I did a little bit of bike races at the beginning. I did a triathlon in Costa Rica, and that's when I kind of got into the wheelchair racing thing, and I rode pushed with David a couple times, and I've been playing tennis and stuff.
Oh, really?
Now, yeah. So I've found a couple of things that really keep me super busy and that I really like and enjoy, and it still feels that competitive attitude that I think we all racers have.
Yeah. So tell me about. I saw a post that you put up on Instagram, and it was all in Spanish. Like, my Spanish sucks. I couldn't read exactly what it was, but you went and did the Olympics, right?
Yeah.
Tell me about that experience.
That was.
And how did that come to be? Was that like a series of qualifiers you had to do, or like?
Yeah, that was. It was an okay experience. It wasn't nothing that I think that we riders we haven't really felt before, just because. The Anaheim Stadium being filled up.
Yeah.
It's just we went to Japan and did that, and the stands were empty, but it was definitely a huge stadium, and I think it would have been a little nervous if it was full. They
didn't allow any fans in.
No. So you'd have to have like a certain time in both the competitions that my class has in order to qualify to go straight into the Olympics. But in the Rio Olympics, I had the time that they were asking for. So I was eligible to go straight into both of my races, but Costa Rica, because we're such a small country, they only give us one slot for the athletics guy, like the guy in the wheelchair. It's only one slot for the whole country, and two of us were competing for it. But anyways, they ended up giving it to the other guy, so I didn't get to go. And then for this one, since I have done a couple of the races that were qualifiers prior to the Olympics, they ended up just doing it by an invite.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So how did you do? I
It was okay.
couldn't read the Spanish, so I couldn't see how you did.
It was okay. You know, I ended up getting 7th in one of the races, and then 8th in the other ones. I didn't do too good, but man, it's just those guys are good. It's hard to really know compared to like.
What do you race? Do you race like on the running track, or is it like on the velodrome?
No,
where it's big?
running track.
Okay.
Yeah. So and it's kind of a, you know, not too, because I went to Japan for like a minute of racing. You know what I mean? Like, you only have like the 100-meter race is like 25 seconds.
Oh.
And then the 200 is like 43 seconds. So that's all you get. You know, it's short, but they don't really have. I mean,
like
they do
endurance stuff. They don't really do any.
Well,
of that.
they do, but not many people that have our injury do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
I've done some marathons too, and yeah, I like those better because it just gives you more of a chance, you know.
Yeah.
Rather than having such a short race.
Yeah, 40 seconds. I mean.
But still, I mean, the competitors and the guys that do it, those guys are so strong. And
are you guys like? I mean, is there bumping and banging or no?
Nothing. No. You just, dude. If you hit the white line, you're disqualified.
Oh, you got to stay in your lane.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, I didn't know how that would work. And then, did you have like some trick chair? Somebody said your chair was made by HRC.
Oh, well, Honda has in Japan. Honda has a department that they help the disabled people.
Okay.
So they do have a a company that they own develops racing chairs.
Pretty sick. Was it like Thai? And
it was pretty badass. Yeah, it's.
Do you have any pictures of it?
Carbon fiber. I do.
You have to send me one. I want to see it.
Yeah.
We'll post it on the show for those who are watching. But was it pretty trick? And the first time you rode it was over there?
It was. It was nice for sure. The first time I rode it, I sat in it and I pushed in it. It was in Japan. Yeah.
Yeah. Huh. And how do you turn? Like, you just throw harder on one hand?
No, you have like a steering and.
Oh, okay.
The ratio on it's not very. You need like a big area to really turn it, but you can. It's not bad.
Stable.
Yeah.
That makes it stable. Yeah. So, do you have plans to do more racing? Like, did you like the triathlon? How was that?
Yeah. The only thing that I didn't like about triathlons is that I was competing against myself, because there's really, you don't have a class.
Mm.
And you have to bring too much stuff, man. It's like you got to bring my daily chair, my bicycle, my, running chair, and then you got to swim and got to bring a wetsuit, and it's too much planning for.
Yeah, it's
too much of a hassle. Yeah.
It's, like I always tell people, whether it's pit bikes, mountain bikes, dirt bikes, like as long as you're on the same, like if I go ride a 125 and there's other guys on 125s, I'm having fun, right? So as long as you're competing on the same stuff, guys that like to compete, which you're obviously very competitive, like any of it can be fun, right? You just have to have people in the same
the same
class,
level,
same equipment.
Yeah.
So like, to your point, if you're down there by yourself, it's like.
I mean, it's fun the first time and stuff, but if you get to do it like more times, then it comes a time where you're like, man, well, yeah, this is getting old after a while.
Yeah. What about like, David has done the Ironman and is that any of that interest you? That really
I have a couple of friends in common that have mentioned that stuff, but man, it's just like that you have to have like a lot of
support staff.
training, like, maybe you got to dedicate probably 4 hours a day to that. And I think, man, I'm going to try to probably spend that time differently. Like, I want to have a family. I want to have kids.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, I think it's just, I'm to a point where, man, I just turned 40, and I think if I want to, do an Ironman and stuff, I'm just going to, it's going to, like a full year is going to go by, and I don't think that's not on my.
No, I don't blame you. I think it's crazy. Even just doing it, no matter how you do it, it's nuts.
Yeah.
You got any? So, you have any more plans to do more racing, or do you feel like,
Yeah, I'll probably do some more wheelchair racing, and I don't know. I don't know if I'll do Paris Olympics or not. I mean, that'll be probably the last push on that.
Yeah.
But I'm getting old, and like, dude, as an athlete, I think as 40, at 40 years old, you're not gonna be getting any better. So as long as if I can stay the same, and I'll have that opportunity, I'll be happy. But it's hard to, because we were athletes, and we know that that's not going to be the peak.
Yeah.
So it's going to be hard for me to have good results. But I think just being there and not going a lot slower, I think I'm going to be happy with that.
Yeah, for sure. Is there anything else you want to try? Like, is there? You mentioned you want to have a family, so like you got that in your plans.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely would like to to start a family, and I think we're going to be working on that. So
oh, that's fun.
Yeah, but play tennis and try to improve a little bit on that, just because I really enjoy and like that sport.
Did you play tennis before?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
I did. Me and Nathan used to play.
How do you move quick enough to get to it?
Dude, in wheelchair tennis you have 2 bounces.
Oh.
So that's a little bit of
yeah, but still,
help.
man.
Yeah, it is hard.
You got to move quick.
Yeah.
So you just pivot and
then
roll.
and then on my that's why I have like a little bit of a see.
Oh, I see you got like some blisters.
Yeah. Just because
scabs.
you gotta I gotta tape my racket.
Oh, you tape it.
Yeah,
to your
because I don't have good grip, So you aren't the racket is attached, and then you have to just hit forehand and backhand with just the same grip. So it's kind of like you said, it's a lot of things at once. Pushing, trying to get to the ball, hitting it, lining up, and it's But it's cool.
Tennis is hard on your feet. I can't imagine. Like, it's tough. So we have a question we always ask all of our guests on here, and it's kind of, how do you want to be remembered in the sport? How do you want people to think back on you and your kind of your legacy?
Man, I think I'm happy and I'm content with the way people remember me. I think I admire the riders that are successful and that do great in supercross and motocross, just because I did it and I know how hard it is. It's tough and I think just the way people remind me, I'm okay with. I don't think I really have a bad reputation or something super negative that they remember me of.
Yeah.
So I think either way, everyone has the right to have their opinion too. So
yeah,
I'm okay with either way,
Well, dude, I think you're a legend. Like, what you've come through to get to what you accomplish is crazy. And your riding style, man, just was always so effortless and smooth, I don't know if it felt like that way to you, but watching you ride, it just looked like you were cruising. It was always so fun.
People always, like, I remember, Eric, and people always tell me, like, man, are you even trying? And I'm like, dude, I'm trying my hardest.
Who gave you the name Lobito?
In Costa Rica, because my stepdad's last name is Lobo. So I was the little one, and Lobito is little for Lobo.
Okay. Lobito. They still call you that?
Yeah, everyone did. That's all they, yeah.
That's your nickname down there.
Yeah,
Yeah. I love it. Well, dude, I appreciate you coming on.
No, thanks for having me, man, and it was a pleasure sharing with you.
You've got an awesome story, dude, and I'm stoked you shared it with us.
Perfect. Thank you.
So, we'll be in touch, buddy. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks.
Stay tuned. We'll be back to wrap up the show. Brace yourselves. Winter is coming. What the writers of Game of Thrones didn't want to tell you is that Cersei was always a bitch because her bro Jaime didn't shave his balls with Manscaped. Poor guy thought it was okay to trim his nuts with a traditional razor or hair trimmer. Not sure what you want as a gift for the holidays, right? But Manscaped is the ultimate gift, and they're here to change the men's grooming game, and you can get 20% off plus free shipping anywhere in the world using the code WhiskeyThrottle at manscaped.com. It's time to gear up and get yourself the gift of shaving this holiday season. I'm talking about the Manscaped Perfect Package 4.0. The Performance Package 4.0 is the best in the business. This hygiene bundle includes the Lawnmower 4.0, Weed Whacker, Boxers, Travel Kit, and liquid formulations. The new Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer is waterproof with advanced skin-safe technology to reduce nicks and cuts, even has a light to help with your close shave down there. No need to have a red wedding situation next time you're going for a trim. The Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer can help you whack those nasty weeds in your delicate holes. This product also has proprietary skin-safe technology that help prevent nicks, snags, and tugs. The Performance Package also includes Crop Preserver. It's a deodorant for your balls to protect against chafing. Also, their Crop Reviver Ball Toner will keep your boys fresh at all times. Maybe you're on the other side of the wall and you don't know when your next shower is. No worries. The Crop Mop Ball Wipes are for you. Have smelly feet? Manscaped can help with their Foot Duster, foot deodorant made to fight odors of the dirtiest feet. Want to smell good everywhere? The Refined Cologne by Manscaped is a clean and fresh scent designed for the refined gentleman. On top of everything, they've even thrown in the Shed travel bag to carry your goods and Manscaped anti-chafing boxer briefs to hold the entire package together. Get 20% off and free shipping worldwide with the code Whiskey Throttle at manscaped.com. During the winter, you may be spending more time inside with your balls. Might as well make them beautiful. Get 20% off and free shipping using the code Whiskey Throttle at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping anywhere in the world at manscaped.com using the code Whiskey Throttle. It's time to join the Manscaped movement. These products are no joke.
I wanna be bad with you, girl, like we're robbing a bank. I wanna be mad at the world, like it took you away. Don't wanna be mad at myself for my stupid.
Hey everybody, welcome back. Thanks for tuning in for another episode of the Whiskey Throttle Show. Stoked Ernie made it through. He's, as I mentioned in the show, to be able to come from such a tiny little spot down in Costa Rica that does not have a big motocross community. No advantages afforded to him other than made a few friends that helped him get over to the States and get some racing in. And for him to have accomplished what he did, then go through that low period after he got hurt and now come out where he's living his life. He's racing wheelchairs and wants to start a family. And I just have a lot of respect for guys that can dig themselves out of bad situations or from humble beginnings and have the success that he's had. So I'm just a lot of respect for Ernesto, and stoked he made it on the show. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate it. Again, get over to whiskeythrottleshow.com. Check out the Ryder Cup. It's going to be a lot of fun. Cool prizes. Lots of riders going to be out there, and it's going to be an event we bring back every year. All the proceeds go to Road to Recovery. So good cause, tax deductible, all that stuff. So check it out. And we've got more shows coming. Stay tuned. The Whiskey Throttle Show is brought to you by Yamaha. Join the Blue Crew today and take advantage of all that Yamaha has to offer, including amateur racing trackside support, awesome Yamaha contingency, Jason Rain's demos and instructional classes, and frankly, the most high-performing motorcycles available on the market today. Whether you're looking for a 4-stroke, a 2-stroke, a side-by-side, a quad, a boat, a generator, Yamaha prides themselves on absolute top-level quality and reliability. Rev your heart with Yamaha and join the Blue Crew today. Sore necks, aching legs, tight backs. Our bodies aren't designed to be constantly tense. But what can we do about it? Help your body relax with TheraBody. TheraBody creates effective, natural solutions to take charge of your daily wellness. By combining education, innovation, and over a decade of pioneering technology, TheraBody makes wellness more accessible for everybody. A traumatic motorcycle accident led TheraBody founder Dr. Jason Westland to create the TheraGun for his debilitating pain. Now the TheraGun, the only physician-created percussive therapy device, uses a scientifically calibrated combination of depth, speed, and power to relax and release your deep muscle tension. Recovery Air is TheraBody's world-leading pressure compression therapy system that flushes out leg soreness so you can bring on peak performance. Most electrical muscle stimulation is ineffective. Instead, TheraBody's sleek Power Dot takes away the guesswork with an intuitive app that customizes intensity and placement so you recover faster. Regular foam rollers hurt. TheraBody's Wave series delivers powerful vibration and pressure to help you recover with less pain. Don't settle for mystery CBD. Therabody's TheraOne range of topical and ingestible full-spectrum USDA-certified organic CBD products are redefining high-potency CBD for wellness and recovery. 250 professional sports teams exclusively use Theragun and other Therabody products to take recovery into their own hands. Method Race Wheels, bringing you the lightest, strongest, fastest wheels in off-road for your truck, van, sprinter, UTV, or SUV. They've been dominating the Baja 500 and 1000 and every major off-road event around the world for years with high quality and performance. They also look amazing. They come in a bunch of different styles and colors for your rig, so check them out. You can get 20% off a set of wheels using our code Whiskey Throttle. No capitals, no spaces. 20% off using our code. Check them out. Also, coming soon, the R1M project. Method Race Wheels makes a dive into the motocross world. Stay tuned. Troy Lee Designs is the leader in off-road motocross apparel and style. So whether you're looking for a cool new paint job for your helmet, maybe your name and number on your helmet lettered on, you're looking for new gear, you're looking for mountain bike gear, off-road gear. They've got the brand new Scout line and GP and SE models. Troy Lee Designs has it all. They've been leading this industry for decades, and they're going to continue to do it. Check out TroyLeeDesigns.com. SKDA is a moto graphics and seat covers company with several offices based around the globe. For too long, bikes and graphics have all looked the same. They just start to blend together. SKDA is working to change that. With super clean and unique design work, a bike with SKDA graphics stands out in a crowd and adds a touch of art to the world of moto. Hey, we need that. SKDA prides itself on providing premium customer service both before and after the sale is made. Visit SKDA online to view the current product range and get in touch with their team to get your bike refreshed. I want to just make a mention here that these guys, not only is their design way outside the box, very, very cool. They'll work with you on custom things. The products are incredible. Okay, they'll speak for themselves. But what's really awesome, and you'll notice this the minute you order one of these, man, they give you an email saying, hey, the product's been shipped. Hey, the product is here. It landed in this spot. Hey, it's coming today. Hey, your product's been delivered. They just so good about staying in touch with you and letting you know where it's at. Customer service is 100%, and that's just something that's rare these days. Check out SKDA. Here at the Whiskey Throttle Show, we're all about supporting brands that support our sport. And there's one tire company that has never walked away from the sport of motocross and supercross, and it's Dunlop. When times got tough and the economy took a crash, Dunlop stepped up and stayed with our sport to support it and the athletes and individuals that love it. Their MX-53 line and MX-33 lines absolutely dominate this sport. Every national championship at the pro level has been won in the last decade, and nearly every single amateur national championship at Loretta Lynn's has been won on a Dunlop. So if you're looking for high performance, you're looking for amazing quality, and you're looking to support a brand that never turns its back on our sport, there's only one choice for you, and it's Dunlop. Pro Circuit is the leader in aftermarket performance and quality. Whether you're looking for a little more horsepower out of your engine, some quality hard parts to improve the way your bike feels and looks, better handling through suspension or linkage arms, Pro Circuit is where you need to stop. It's your one-stop shop. You can go in there and get everything you need to make your motorcycle go from average to exceptional. Pro Circuit's got enough number one plates on their wall to side an entire home, and there's a reason for that. They're very, very good at what they do. The highest quality products with one goal in mind, and that's winning. Check out ProCircuit.com. Nihilo Concepts is leading the way in aftermarket hard parts. With their secondary on-switch device, something that was much needed in this sport, they've been innovating and bringing new products to market. Their latest is the new Nihilo Run Cool brake pistons. They're designed to be stronger than stock and provide exceptional cooling performance with less brake drag. Most OEM calipers pistons are made from aluminum that just can't hold up to the heat and extreme demands of serious racing. When they get hot, the aluminum will distort, causing loss of hydraulic pressure and brake failure. Nihilo's Run Cool pistons limit the area that boiling hot hydraulic fluid is able to come in contact with the piston, leaving 2/3 of the piston volume in open air with breather holes to enhance the cooling ability. It's made of a proprietary stainless blend, which is better at dissipating heat. You have issues with brake fade or brake failure, check out Nihilo Concepts among their many amazing hard parts and carbon fiber parts and titanium. NihiloConcepts.com. Senna is the leader in motorcycle helmet communications. There's really two prongs to why this is important. One of them is safety. If you're a dad who's watching your kid out on a track, being able to communicate with him about a rider down or a track situation is imperative. You don't want him coming over a jump and seeing a rider down and getting himself involved in that. So from a safety aspect, it's huge. You can also coach them. So if you see them taking a line, doing something that they could be improved, it's very easy to just click a button and speak to them right in their helmet in real time. This has been a proven coaching technique used by many motorcycle coaches. There's also just the simple fun factor. Being able to chat with your buddy while you're out on a ride, share music between one another, answer phone calls. It just takes your riding experience to another level. So whether you're using the 50S or 50R connected through a mesh network in your helmet, or you're using a Tough Talk headset connected with one of those, Sena is the leader in quality and performance in motorcycle helmet communications. Check them out at Sena.com. Seat Concepts is the leader in motorcycle saddles. If you're looking for a new cover or a new seat entirely, Seat Concepts is the place to go. They make custom seat foams catered to your height, weight, riding ability, riding type. They also have waterproof covers and foams that will not break down if you ride in a lot of inclement weather. And they pride themselves on being much more comfortable than OEM or any other aftermarket company. If you're looking for a new seat or a new cover, Seat Concepts, there's nothing better. Need to replace something on your bike that's worn out? Look no further than ProX. These guys aim to make everything OEM quality or better at an affordable price. And they've also got some new products coming. So right now, chains, sprockets, anything inside the engine internally, air filters. If it wears out, ProX makes it, and they make it at a quality level that's OEM or better. And they've got some new things coming that are awesome. A complete engine rebuild kits for the Polaris RZR 800s. Need to replace something on your bike that's worn out? Look no further than ProX. These guys aim to make everything OEM quality or better at an affordable price. And they've also got some new products coming. So right now, chains, sprockets, anything inside the engine internally, air filters. If it wears out, ProX makes it, and they make it at a quality level that's OEM or better. And they've got some new things coming that are awesome. A complete engine rebuild kits for the... If you've got a little Grom that's looking to get started in the motorcycle world, the best way to get them going is on a Stasic bike. They've got multiple sizes, so from your very young Groms to those who are a little more grown up, you can start them safely. They've got controls that allow you to control the speed so he can't get going too quick. They can touch the ground. There's not a lot of noise to distract them. It's the perfect way to get your child involved in motorcycling at a very young age. And if you've got a kid who's already out ripping, there's series popping up all over. For those of you in Southern California, go to www.ameminicross.com and join their local series. If you're outside of this state, contact your local track and ask them about starting a Stasic class at your local track. Get over to Stasic.com and check out all they've got going on. Motul USA, we lean hard on these lubricants to keep us on the track and on the trail. And Motul has proven their quality over and over, most recently with their Dakar win with Ricky Brabeck. They're sponsoring supercross teams. They're diving into our sport again full throttle, and we're stoked to have them on board. Amazing products, top to bottom. Motul USA, go check them out. OGIO is the leader in motorcycle storage solutions. As motocross riders, we need a gear bag, we need a helmet bag, a boot bag, a backpack, a travel bag, a hydration pack, maybe a tool kit to wear around your waist if you're on an off-road ride. OGIO makes all of that, and their products are absolutely top of the line. I've got stuff I've had for several decades, just to give you an idea of how long this stuff lasts. If you're not sure, ask around, talk to folks who've had some of this stuff, and they will confirm that OGIO's quality is absolutely second to none. So go check them out, OGIO_powersports.com, and look at all they've got to offer right now. And finally, last but not least, Specialized Bicycles. If you are in the market to start pedaling, this is where you want to start. They've got great entry-level bikes all the way up to the Cadillac, the new Levo e-bike, anything in between, man. It doesn't matter what kind of riding you're doing. Go check out and start with Specialized. Don't waste your time on something that's going to break. The derailler's not going to shift after a couple months. Get something quality. These guys make it. Specialized leads that industry. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another edition of MPH, Moto E Performance and Health with Coach Rob Beams. Welcome back.
Thanks, brother.
So this is an interesting topic we've got today. It's basically, are you doing too much as an amateur, maybe even more than the pros are? So we have a problem as amateur motocross enthusiasts, some of us, that we're like, I need to train more. I go out, I'm not in shape enough.
Sure.
I want to be able to ride more. I want to be able to do this. But You know, you and I were talking a little bit. You can only do so much.
That's right.
You know, I complain to you that I want to be in better riding shape and I want all these things, but I'm a full-time fireman. I'm trying to run a show. We're building stuff for the website. I've got project bikes for Vital. I've got 2 kids playing soccer. I got a wife that I'm trying to stay married to. That all takes, you know, consumes from the pie.
That's right.
And so there's only so much pie.
That's right.
Damn it, I hate that there's only so much pie.
That's
but
right.
You feel like people are probably discrediting themselves and all of the stresses that their lives have, and they need to be a little more realistic about the output that they can still give.
That's it. You surmised it the best. If you look at life, we really have 4 quadrants. You have what's going on personally, you have what's going on professionally, or for some of our younger listeners, maybe what's going on in school. You have the financial side of things, and you have the athletic. Well, with my relationship with my clients, I can only influence that one box. I can adjust the duration, the intensity, or the frequency of training. But I also have to respect that every client has those other 3 attributes of life. There's only 24 hours in the day, and as the old saying goes, you can't manage time, you can only manage yourself. And if I can get the listeners to stop and think about what does the average listener do by noon on Monday? You know, you've got the, Michaela and I tease about this all the time, the dreaded Monday morning marathon fest that you got to live with. You know, you've been in and out 2 or 3 meetings, you've read some reports, you've driven to work, maybe you've gone to the gym on the way in, so you got up early. Think about all of that by noon. And so when our listeners watch or they see an article on about what the pros are doing, and then they try to incorporate that in, or especially with YouTube, everyone's an expert nowadays. And so you watch something on YouTube and you're like, oh, well, Billy Bob's doing this or doing that. And then you try to incorporate that in. Where in God's green earth are you going to put that in?
Yeah.
You know, now I don't want to sound like a hypocrite, because in some of our other podcasts or, you know, shows that we've done together, we've talked about address your frustrations. You go race. If you're falling apart at the end of a moto, work on your endurance, work on your flexibility if you're struggling in corners. But my question is, where are you going to fit that in? And yourself included, you know, multiple jobs, having 2 growing daughters, a great relationship. Well, that doesn't accidentally become successful. Just like you've heard me say, I don't like accidental success on the racetrack. There's no such thing as accidental success in life. So when we look at the volume of training that our athletes are doing, and for a lot of the listeners, you know, they're trying to get in an hour before work, or they're trying to squeeze in an hour after work. Well, what are the 2 things that gets sacrificed to make that happen? Sleep and food. What are the only 2 things that allow the body to sufficiently recover? Sleep and food. You think about it when Amber was pregnant, right? She's eating perfect. She's pregnant. Then she has the baby, and then she's licking the inside of the baby jar. She's sleeping when the baby's sleeping. What are the 2 things that she lost? Yeah. The ability to sleep and to eat. Same thing with yourself. We rush into this thing called adulthood. You know, and we could talk about this on another show, but like, when did we transition into you're just somebody that enjoys riding a dirt bike, and every time you're on your dirt bike, you're training? You know, when do you jump on your specialized bike and enjoy riding your mountain bike, but now it's training?
Yeah.
That's a dangerous, slippery slope, because we start to lose the fun. Now, again,
the problem I have is that I only have fun when I can go out and actually ride it.
Sure.
If I get arm pumping 2 laps and I got to pull in,
you're back to
that pisses
frustrated.
me off. I'm not having fun.
Yep.
So I've got to figure out, you know, and for me, I have to ride once a week.
Yep.
If I can ride 1 time a week, I can stay relaxed
Your
enough
sweet
to
spot.
stave that off.
Yep.
And I still exercise at the station and when I have time, but that 1 ride a week for me is enough to stay having fun. And that's my biggest concern.
Well, that's
with
where
this.
the structure, for some of the listeners, they'll look at structure as taking the fun out of it. I look at structure allows you to be, and you and I grew up with this in high school, being in the moment. There is nothing worse than you being at the station thinking about riding, and then riding thinking about your daughters at soccer, being at soccer thinking about being at work, and then you go on date night and you're thinking about something else. Well, date night's a bust.
You just ruined everything.
Everything,
yeah.
right? So that being in the moment, as hokey as that may come across initially, if I know I've given myself 1 hour to do a 45-minute workout, I'm in the workout. I'm going to get everything out of that workout because I know what my frustration was on race day. So now when I'm in the gym, I'm addressing that frustration with the exact time I've been given, but I don't feel like a lot of the listeners give themselves credit. Sometimes you just don't have an hour to do cardio. Be fine with 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I don't care if you get out of your car and walk around your block. You do that every day. Let's say it's 10 minutes. Well, that's 50 minutes on Monday through Friday. It's 50 minutes more than you had on Monday.
Yeah.
Every little bit counts. Consistency is way more important than anything.
Yeah, amen. And you know, listening to your body, if you feel like you're just dragging ass, listen to that. You know, don't pump yourself full of.
What happens when you do it? You get sick or you get injured.
Yeah.
What are the two things that stop our progress as an athlete?
Sick or injured.
That's the only two things. That's the only two things when you really boil it down.
And I thought I was pretty dialed in terms of time management. And you've showed me a whole other level. You know, you say your days are scheduled down to like pee breaks, take the trash out, date night. You really have it dialed.
Literally.
And so I'm actually going to get something from that and relook at my own program and fine tune it a little bit. But I think for folks who are going, man, how do I fit it all in?
Yeah.
That's really the only way. It has to be on a schedule written down, or a lot of it's just not going to happen.
Well, and I don't want anybody to think I live in a glass house. I mean, there's days that, you know, Michaela and I were traveling. We were up in Vermont doing a performance camp up at Winchester. A flight was delayed. We ended up missing a flight. That was a 24-hour day. I don't live in a glass house, but I'm certainly not going to go out and do my intervals the day afterwards, right?
Yeah.
You know, we went to the gym and we actually swam and we did some foam rolling, and I'm a massage therapist, so Michaela got a massage. I mean, you just say, all right, we got to reconfigure this day, because if I give up today to kind of schedule the next 4 days, well, I pick up 4 by giving up 1. That's a good ROI, return on investment. So I'm always looking for that.
Yeah.
And when I understand the only two things that are going to slow me down are an injury or an illness, the lack of sleep and the lack of food, and I do it for myself, I do it for Michaela, I do it for all my clients. The first thing we do is we block out 9 hours of sleep. So if you know that you've got to leave the house at 7 a.m. to get to the fire station by 8, you're not saying you're going to get up at 7. You got to be up by 6. Why? Because you have to have enough time to get up, eat, go to the restroom, get dressed, so you're on time.
Yeah.
Because when we start rushing, what do we give up? Sleep and food. So every time we start that domino effect, we're screwed. So I always look at, you know what time you've got to start tomorrow. You've got to be up by 6. Well, that means you've got to be in bed by 9:30, 10 o'clock to get 8 hours of sleep. Well, now we're reverse engineering your week, because we're sitting here, whatever day it is, you're like, okay, well, if I don't get to bed by 10 tonight, but I know I've got to get up by 6, it's just simple math. I won't get 8 hours of sleep. But that's the only place that your body releases growth hormones and what we call recovery hormones, whether it's human growth hormone, testosterone, the natural things that allows us to recover. Only happens with food, only happens through sleep. So if you look at how you cut up the day, when someone's rushing, what do they give up? I'm going to give up an hour of sleep so I can work out. Wrong combo.
Yeah.
And that's what our listeners are running into.
And I feel like we're maybe it's just an American thing, or specifically American, but you got to get up. You know, you'll see these millionaires giving these speeches about how I only sleep 3 hours a day and I'm up doing more by 6 a.m. than, you know, and it's like, well, maybe you're making a lot of money doing that, but your physical health is going in the crap.
Exactly. I mean, you could sit there and be on whatever pedestal you want. I'm not trying to be mean, but if somebody's realistically holding that schedule, they're probably jacked up. You know, whether they're on Adderall or, you know, uppers and downers and all. I mean, there's enough history there that when the shit finally hits the road, that you realize they've ruined themselves to do that.
Yeah.
And to put it on a pedestal like it's a badge of honor. You know,
and we've done that as Americans, I think.
Absolutely.
I can't really speak for the other countries, but I know at least here it's a badge of honor to say, I'm working 3 jobs and I'm only getting 4 hours of sleep at night. I'm going so hard.
Now, I don't want to be disrespectful. We know there's listeners that are going through difficult times, and sometimes you have to work 3 jobs. That's why I'm saying we don't live in a glass house. I don't want to insinuate that. But when you do have that option, do your level best to protect your sleep like a baby. And I always run it through the litmus test of a child. You know, when you have a little one, irregardless of age, when they're tired and hungry, how much fun are they to be around?
Yeah.
How reasonable are they? But yet we're adults and we say, suck it up, buttercup, let's go. And that's the part that becomes really dangerous at the end of it, because what I want our listeners to be thinking about is sleep is not you being lazy. Sleep is you giving your body what it needs. Eating correctly is not about just, you know, I don't eat this or I don't eat that. Is it an investment or a sacrifice? Because you've got to invest in yourself. Again, an overused term right now. But, you know, the idea is invest in yourself with good food. You're going to feel better. You're going to perform better. You're going to drop weight. Drop body fat, VO2 max goes up. It's just a mathematical formula. So it's a win-win, win-win, win-win-win.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, what good is all that money if you don't have your health? And I know, again, that sounds a little cliche-ish, but
the older you get, though, the more true that
but
starts
what are
to
our
ring.
listeners frustrated about? Well, because I'm not able to ride without arm pump. Okay, Well, why is that? If we keep reverse engineering it, well, you're 30 pounds overweight. Why are you 30 pounds overweight? This might surprise people. It's not because you're eating too much. It's because you're not eating enough and you're not sleeping. We can do a whole show on hormones associated with sleep, but when you sleep, your body releases human growth hormone, which is the hormone that naturally makes you lean. It only gets released when we're asleep, figuratively speaking. But so if you're not sleeping, you wonder why you're getting heavy. So what do? You eat less calories. What does that do? It dries up your body fat. Why? High cortisol. I mean, it's a domino effect that most of our listeners don't realize. So they try harder and harder, and they work out harder and longer because they got beat on Sunday, which we can relate to. But that's not the solution. So that's why I always say our listeners are doing a lot more, and they've got to give themselves credit to say, hey, you know what? I'm tired.
Work smarter, not harder applies here. And,
it really does.
And there's a lot of information on your website to help them do that. Be smarter about what you're doing. Yes, you have to be creative and manage your time well, but there's also just some good things to do and not to do, and Coach Rob can help you get through those. Get over to CompleteRacingSolutions.com for all those. There is a ton of free resources. You can also sign up for membership and have access to even more detailed stuff. Thank you for coming on.
Appreciate it, bud.
Stay tuned for more MPH videos coming soon. That's our show. We'll see you guys next time.
Thanks for watching the Whiskey Throttle Show. Don't forget to like and subscribe and click the bell to get alerts for all the latest content. Follow us on Twitter at W_Throttle_Show and on TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram at Whiskey Throttle Show.
We won't stop.